3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin.
Welcome back to the podcast brought to you by OMG Racing, JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, and of course, Lucky Day Competitions. And I think my co-host for this evening spent all your money on that, haven't you?
Yeah. I still haven't,
yeah,
I still haven't won a John Deere. And a...
Hey, I tell you what though, I picked up a brand new Honda 450, you know, with the 90s graphics on it. Brand new, hasn't turned a wheel, nothing. I picked that up from Bike Sport Newcastle, and I'm yet to go over to Ireland to get it raffled off. So there's going to be a mad video with Sammy and stuff. Look, it's
Bike Sport's where I came from. Bike Sport.
Really?
Bike Sport Newcastle is like where my dad used to go to buy like bikes when I was a kid, because I started in motocross and shit, and like that was always the spot. My eyes used to light up as a kid when my dad said, "Oh, gonna have a run through Bike Sport," and I'm like, "Whoa, yes!"
It's the only shop left on the hill.
Is it?
You know, Westgate Road. Honestly, it's like
that used to be full, didn't it?
Oh mate, you had custom lids at the top. You had M&S motorcycles are still going, but they've downsized because they had the Dionysus shop.
I possibly got my first ever like road bike helmet when I first started road bike from Custom Lids. Yeah.
Same here. It's part of it, man. It's absolutely great. But I tell you what, I think we've just totally jumped straight into the podcast nature, and that like I feel like we should do the proper thing. We have a stock 1,000 champion twice over, TT senior winner, moustache owner, mullet puller offerer, Davey Todd.
He's the coolest man in the paddock, isn't he?
Now how way.
It's not often you say something nice like that.
Yeah, you're anti
big.
Mr.
I
Anti-Positive.
really appreciate that from you.
You feel
that
it?
means more.
You feel
it means more coming from you.
I tell you what, hold on. Who is the coolest man in the paddock?
Davey Todd.
No, come on, get your tongue out of his arse for 2 seconds. Come on, let's get this nailed down.
I don't know anyone on with style like that. You tell me another man that's
definitely
got
a style.
like that.
It's definitely, like I tell you what though, that the motorcycle catalogue from Westgate Road did not throw up on him. His Alpine Star, Ugly and Co. I tell you what,
this new Dirt Studios Alpine Star gear.
That is
factory.
Nice.
So cool.
How much are they paying you for that?
I've got the t-shirt on as well.
We charge.
Hold on. I'm the one that bought it up, and I'm getting fuck all. Absolutely fuck all. But I tell you what. So
finish your introduction. Who have we got?
We've got Davey Todd. Apparently the coolest man in the paddock. I'm generally like the only reason I'm questioning it is it could possibly be true, because everyone is copying the mullet from you know, Scott Swan, and then I'm trying to Marcus Simpson.
I'm considering
Joey Thompson. There was kind of a slipstream of going, well, he's going fast, I'll get that stupid haircut.
It genuinely made me. It's made me consider shaving it off.
Why don't you shave your whole head, the tash, do the eyebrows, go full the other way,
clean.
just see if everyone starts taking their eyebrows off as well. It's gone mad.
I don't think that one will catch on.
I don't know. I wouldn't call you cool then. I'd say you look poorly.
You look ballsy, literally ballsy, like skin balls on that side of things.
Yeah.
I think we should leave that. Put a comment below in YouTube and subscribe. As you can tell, we've got Grace Rouse in the corner here, so it's there's always the direction from above, the Lord Commander herself. And the last time we had you on the show, mate, it was me and Chrissy, May 2022, episode 157. Where were we then?
Seems like 2 minutes ago that as well. Like I was thinking when we were talking about doing another one, I was like, it hasn't been that long since I was on here last, and apparently it has. Apparently we're talking nearly 3 years ago.
Grace, how many episodes have we done now?
This will be 233.
233. It's absolutely nuts. It's amazing we've got that far. And speaking of which, thank God Joe's here, because we've just gone straight in with a crack, and we haven't actually mentioned the most important person of this pod, the episode sponsor.
Yeah,
Joe,
we get a bit carried away, don't we? Tip in. It's easy to do, but this episode is brought to you by Encase Design. We specialise in creating custom foam inserts and storage solutions for a variety of items, including cameras, electronic devices, tools, and more. Our products can be fully customised to align with your team, client, and business branding. We're proud suppliers of top quality protective cases and accessories for brands like, I might pronounce this wrong, but Peli, Nanook, and Explorer. Be sure to follow us at Instagram at encase.co.uk for latest updates and inspiration. So yeah, thank you for supporting this one.
There's something about a North Yorkshire accent. You two, you can get away with murder, you two, on that side of things. You can just slip in a title and just go, apologies for the accent.
Yeah, the guys have probably listened to that and gone, they could have got anyone else to read that out. Why has he read that out? Sorry.
When they do the Gucci, the laser printing, so your toolbox, so you obviously can send off a load of tools down to them. And they'll scan them like I don't know what, it's like a machine anyway. But then it's all foam inserted for all the factory toolboxes.
It's
nice.
sick,
It's gorgeous. You get your company logo put in and everything like that, and obviously they'll do all the measurements and you think it's pornographic.
McGuinness would have that, wouldn't they? And he'd open it and it'd have his little McGuinness symbol on it. That's exactly kind of little.
That's what they do.
If he was getting it for free,
if he was getting it for nothing,
he won't be paying for it. No chance of that.
Yeah, that John. Your mate Davey's after you now.
It's got to be done. But where were we? Where was Davey Todd in 2022? What team? Because you've
Padgetts.
done a lot. Was that your first year in Padgetts?
No. Well, technically 2019. I rode a Padgetts 600.
That was your first Northwest
win.
Yes.
In 2019, and then 20 during COVID, rode for Honda for half a year. 21 Wilson Craig, and did the last 2 rounds of BSB with Padgetts. And then I basically the biggest thing for me was trying to get into Superstock and do a full championship in BSB, and nobody would give me the opportunity, and Padgetts gave me the opportunity in 22 to do that. So did the full Superstock championship in 22. So that was that worked out pretty well. Ended up winning the championship, so for the first time now.
What was when you say you wanted to just be in stock? What was you mean you wanted? I want to be in stock 1,000 and I want to do a season because I think I can win it.
Yeah, pretty much. It sounds mad saying that, and so many people, including my team boss. I don't really want to drop him in it too much, but my previous team boss, Philip Neal, who I rode for last year, and I pretty much begged him for a ride in 22 and said, "Oh, come on!" And he said, "Yeah, we'll run you at the TT and on the roads, and we'll do a couple of BSB. We're not interested really for BSB. Just stick to the road, stick what you got at." I'm like, "I can do short circuit as well." And
that's what you was coming up against, people saying to you.
Everyone I spoke to, and it's
they pigeonholed you as a roadsman.
Yeah,
right.
Fully. It's all I'd ever really, I guess, had chance to do. So I don't know how I knew that I could do short circuit, but it's riding a bike, innit, I suppose. And I was like, if I just get a proper go at it, I know I'll do all right. At least I can have a go. And I just wanted a shot at it. If I'd have done absolutely naff, then I'd have been like, fair enough, okay, maybe I'll stick to roads. But
I tell you what's mad though, because even when you please correct me if I'm wrong, but the bullet point, the earlier part of your career was motocross and then supermoto, but then you came British champion at that very early on. And then stock 600, and then your winning race stock 600. So, argumentatively, you were a short circuit rider to begin with.
Yeah, so I technically I did a year in Thundersport in, 2015 now. Jeez, 10 years ago. It was my first time ever on a sports bike in 2015. Won Elite Superstock 600, whatever you call it, in Thundersport.
You won the championship in your first
year with an orange bib on.
What a lad.
But the thing is, for people who were listening to this who knew Thundersport, it was literally the lap times were the front runners were second. Honestly, they were a
BSB lap times, yeah, Superstock 600, and pretty much. So the grid that I was up against is 10, maybe more of them riders are all in BSB now. They were all in BSB the next year. So it's both True Love brothers, Lewis Rollo, there was Joe Sheldon Shaw, Milo Ward, who was a TT newcomer the other year.
All could pedal a bike.
There was a lot. The list just goes down and down, and I think Brad Peary was maybe in it as well, and tons of names, and they all went to. So it was a really particularly strong year of Thundersport as well. So that set me up perfectly, going to stock 6 the year after, and everybody's still like, when you go to BSB, it'll be different. Just aim to get points in your first year. And I'm like, I want to win. And they're like, you're reaching too high. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, BSB's hard. There's proper teams and everything. And I literally went, my 12-year-old brother at the time, which, as I'm pretty sure everybody knows, you're not allowed in pit lane in BSB under 16 years old.
Yeah.
16.
Joel's been 16 from the age of 2. Let's face it.
Yeah, so he looks old, to be fair. That's how he gets away with it.
I thought it was a copper walking by your house before. I was like, oh no, it's Joel. Thank God for that.
So fortunately, he looked old, and he was my main mechanic, who's 12 years old, and as my crew chief, let's say, in 22. My granddad was about 70 odd at the time, and he's a joiner, like knows not about mechanics. He basically put my tyre warmers on and the bits like that. And another guy, Chris Cox, who sort of helped with the suspension setup a little bit, but he'd never been in sports bikes before. He helped me in supermoto, so it was a learning thing for us all. And managed to win 2 races that year, another podium, and then pretty much nearly every other race like got cleaned out or crashed out or had a mechanical. Or...
The Superstock 600 class, isn't it? Yeah, that's what you do.
Whose bike were you on? In stock, it was quite a known bike, wasn't it?
Morello.
The Morello bike. I knew there was a connection with
it. But it actually wasn't a Morello bike. So at the beginning of the year, after testing, they obviously noticed I went pretty well. And they said, basically, if we'll get your fairings painted in our colours with our sponsor on, because I think I had a fully white bike, like with no sponsors or anything. I had a few from Supermoto who helped us across. And they said, basically, yeah, we'll put the bike in our colours. You run out of our awning, but you just basically do everything yourself, and we'll like help you with some of our sponsors. So like oil sponsor, chain and sprockets, like all like consumables, we'll like help you along with them. So it was a big help.
People don't realise how much that costs.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it wasn't like
but even
officially I was riding for the team, because I wasn't.
Even like the infrastructure, having the awning and the truck there just saves you a massive aggro, setting your own stuff up and trailing it all down there, doesn't it? So it's a big help.
Yeah, so just being able to do that, we took our own bike home and Joel prepped it and whatever, and that was it. So to do that in your first year, but then it just sort of took a massive downturn after that when you realise BSB, all the teams require you to pay $100,000 for a ride, or I was getting told because I was a rider that people wanted, they would do me a good deal at $60,000 for the season. I'm like, I'm not from a family with money, and like, yeah, I don't want to offend anyone, but there's a lot of people in BSB that are from wealthy families who've been able to buy the way through, as well as being a good rider, don't get me wrong, but you need money as well. And I'm definitely not from that. My parents both worked super hard to even get us there.
I've never met your man, but your dad's a grafter. Like, I've a lot of time for your dad. He's God love him, he's never home, is he? He's always off working away.
Well, one of the funny stories, I've probably told it before, but like what I always remember as a kid is I went to motocross race, and he used to be on call 24 hours a day. He fixed forklift trucks, but he'd put himself on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to like earn extra money to be able to pay for me racing motocross as a kid. And I remember being at a motocross race when I was like 7 or 8 years old or something, and my dad been like, I'd come in from a race and he'd be like, oh, sorry son, I've got to go do a job. I'm gonna leave you with
your brother.
Like, no, with my brother was like 1 year old.
Yeah, you got to start at some point, haven't you? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna leave you with like your mate's mum and dad here, or like your mate's dad, and like he'll like
start the bike for you.
Yeah, start your bike and put fuel in it for you and tell you when to go. So you just like stay with them, and like I'm gonna go to a job and I'll come back and pick you up later. And he'd like have to do that like multiple times when I was racing as a kid, just to be able to like pay for it. So he's always like done everything that it'll take to make it happen for me.
Yeah,
and like definitely, as I say, definitely just not from from a wealthy family that could afford $60,000 a season in BSB. So
and that was that your sole decision to make that transition? I know on previous episodes, go back to Grace, what number again? Sorry, 150. even we're guessing it, 157. Please go back and listen to that, because we end up naturally going through this, 'cause I just love hearing the stories again. But was that your defining moment because of the price of doing short circuits at the elite level of BSB? Was it thought, well, I'll just go do roads, or was that a passion drive? I'm trying to remember the story myself.
No, so the story, I'll briefly go over it, because we definitely...
we've gone through this a couple of times, but it's nice to hear again. Bollocks to it.
But...
just a refresher.
I basically did one round, and it's I was going to say a fantastic story. It's fantastic telling it now. It's horrendous at the time. That I actually officially rode for Morello in 2017. So I did the first round.
Stock 600.
But long story, they didn't give me any help. Didn't support us or nothing. They had a bike there for me, but they're like, oh, your mechanic hasn't turned up, look after it yourself. And I had to ring my dad, and my dad fortunately wasn't at work for round one. He come and put my tyre warmers on, still finished on the podium. 10 minutes before the truck left for round two, they called me up and said, come pick your bike up, we can't fit it in the truck if you're not here in 10 minutes. And they're 2 hours away from me, more, 2.5. If you're not here in 10-15 minutes to pick it up, it's getting locked in the workshop, and you won't be racing this weekend. And I was like, I'd paid this team 20 grand. I'd managed to raise 20 for my ride for the season. Kawasaki UK had supported it because they were the official Kawasaki UK Superstock team at the time, but they only wanted to really run stock thousands, not the 600, and they only run me on the stock 600 because I had to. So yeah, that basically just screwed me big time, and then I ended up they just wanted me to quit basically, and loads more happened at round two, and then I did quit and said I can't do this anymore. And
did you get the money back?
No. So that was it. That was the lowest point ever of my life, to be honest, not in my career. Just where I thought my dream since I was literally born is to be racing motorbikes, and this. I didn't see any way out of this. I had no money, nothing, no way to get a ride, no way to even... I didn't own any bikes of my own or anything at this stage. I was like, that's it. I can't even go back to ride motocross. I can't afford a motocross bike. I've got nothing, so that's it. Riding's done for me now.
What age were you? 17?
I'd have been 20. No, 19.
Shit, innit?
20.
Yeah. Shit.
So, yeah, not great. So that was a chip point, and then basically had a few months scratching around. I was trying to. I worked as a tree surgeon, not helping a mate who was a tree surgeon, and just doing any job possible.
I'm glad he covered that up, because I helped a bloke. He looked at me clean in the eye and went, let's talk about tree surgery. So I helped my mate who was a tree surgeon.
Yeah, I don't want any questions on how to fell trees, because I don't know. I was picking the branches up off the floor and putting them in
the hard
chipper.
Bit, you mean?
The hard bit, yeah, it sucks. In the peeing down rain, freezing cold, yeah, it's not for me.
We've all been there.
And whatever I could, but I worked for an insurance company, and I was selling insurance to track day guys and racers and stuff like that, basically personal protection insurance. So if you got injured on a track day, you got payout. So I was like, if I go around and
nearly slotted straight back into the sales. Then.
He did, yeah. I was about to hand over
just
money there.
£12 a month. A lot more than that, though.
Yeah, fortune. And I thought maybe I'll go around and I'll meet someone who can give me a ride or get me a ride or something, still hanging on to this 1% glimmer of hope that I can still get a ride somehow. And what was it? I'd done it for a while, but I had nothing. I'd probably a tenner in my bank account at the best times. And my mate, Tom Budemos, called me up. Well, it had been the end of May, and said, have you, you should come out to the TT. We're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't, I'm working, I'm trying to survive. And he's like, no, you need to come. Isle of Man TT's mega. You've never been, you need to experience it. It's the coolest place ever. And I'm like, how am I meant to get there? I can't afford a flight. I've got nowhere to stay or anything. He's like, we'll figure it out. It's all right. Just, you need to get out here. And I'm like, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. And I knew what the TT was, but I didn't like I'd never really thought too much about like, oh, I want to go race it or stuff like that. And I grew up my entire life, to go on a small tangent, I grew up my entire life racing motocross with Malachi and Mitchell Thomas, who was killed at the Northwest.
Yeah.
And he'd like made the progression basically a couple of years previous to me. A couple of years before me went to Supermoto from motocross, and a couple of years before me went to sports bikes from Supermoto, and he got on well. So that was, I guess, part of my decision to be like, oh, I should have a go at this. I saw
that path's working kind of thing.
He did it.
Yeah.
Christian Idden did it. Plenty other. Keith Farmer did it. Like he was from a motocross Supermoto background. So
actually, the more you think about it, the more like David Jeffries went down that route as well. You know,
a lot of guys.
Johnny Ray was motocross to racing.
Johnny Ray did it. There's plenty when you look into it. So many guys come from that background. So it's thought of, that was my inspiration. Let's say of like, oh, maybe like I could make this change. So basically, when at that stage, like managed to think of a way of how to get to the TT, and convinced. So it was like late one night, and I rang up the boss of the insurance company, Simon he's called, and I was like, all right, I've got a way where I can sell loads of insurance, like we need like loads of bikers in one place. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, the TT, there's going to be like tons of bikers there, loads of people who are going to want to buy insurance. If you buy my flights out there, like I will sell so much insurance, like just like got to pay for my flights out there. And he's like, right, okay, yeah. There's this one at this time, and he's like, and I'd already looked, I was like, there's one at like 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's like pretty cheap. It was maybe 80 quid or something like that. And he's like, you'd have to like set off in a couple of hours. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
I'm already on the motorway.
He's like,
I'm looking at the airport.
It's like, where are you going to stay? I'm like, I don't know. I'll just figure it out. It's all right. It'll be good. And he's like, all right then. All right. I'll buy your flights out there. So he paid me flight out there, and got out there, and I literally landed at Ronaldsway Airport. And I'm like, okay, I knew nothing. Like I didn't know where to go, where the paddock was. I really didn't know anything. And I'm like,
I can just imagine you turn up with a little briefcase and a suit, like, where am I?
Definitely didn't have a suit. I had a backpack with some clothes in it, and me insurance salesman polo shirt thing.
Nice.
And properly
some
protected.
Forms. Did you have forms to fill out?
Yeah. No, it was on an iPad.
Oh, right.
I had an iPad to fill out the forms.
He sold the iPad, got a taxi. He did.
I asked how to get there, and I got on a bus, and it was like £1 to get the bus from the airport to the paddock.
Which is from the south of the island, by the way, to the north, if anyone's wondering.
It's quite a long way, but it was like £1. I was well happy, because I didn't really have any more than that. Got to the paddock, met like a couple of people I knew at the time, and Tom Bouthemos's dad, Brian, was working for Sam West, and Sam had a big truck and stuff like that. So I ended up like speaking to them, having a crack with them, and they were like, oh, you can sleep in the back of the truck, like no bed. There was beds, but they were sleeping in them. They were like, it's just like the back of the truck where the bikes live, sort of thing. And they're like, well, you can like spare a pillow or something, and you can just sleep in the back of the truck. I'm like, beats anywhere else that I've got right now. So I slept in the back of the truck with like my coat over me for 2 weeks, pretty much. I was there for about 10 days. I'd like just missed the first couple of nights practice or something, and was just hooked on the TT straight away. Didn't know how I was going to do it. Again, like told the story so many times, but like just basically went from that point. I was like, I want to do this. Paul Phillips got in touch and said, I've heard you want to do the TT. We'll try and make it like help you learn the course and try help make it happen. And then after that, Gearlink Kawasaki, British Supersport team, had always like they had helped me. They give me like advice on gearing and stuff like that when I was in Stock 6.
Yeah.
And they had an Irish team, let's call them,
Slingshot,
Longshot,
whatever. Yeah.
Longshot, that they helped as well. They helped them do a couple of races anyway. And he ended up bringing me up and going, have you ever thought of doing a road race? I was like, not really. Been to the TT. And this was after I got home from the TT and said, oh, do you want to come do Skerry's road race? And basically went from there. I went and did Skerry's and it was unreal. I lived basically in the back of my van because I've paid for my ferry to Ireland. And then I couldn't afford to go home, so I just like stayed in Ireland because he then said, "Oh, when I did Skerry's, he said if you like it, we'll carry on." We're on like old tires, old brake pads. I think we were using old oil in the bike. Never mind like anything else. Like it was secondhand everything, and they were like making it happen. Like mad respect for these guys because they're like, as mad as it was and as like rough as the bike and the stuff was and everything, and like. I'd look at it now and if my mate was like, oh, I can ride for that team, like I've got an opportunity here, it's that or nothing, I'd be like, don't do it. Because like, it's like dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It's just too much.
Knowing what you know now.
Yeah, too much of a risk. But I was in that position at the time. I was like, I have nothing. Like, it's either don't race or do this, and I basically like prepared myself for it. And there's a few incidences where there was things wrong with the bike, and my people I knew had like come over and to me and said like, there's something wrong with that, like you shouldn't be racing with that. And I ended up getting lucky with a red flag at the Ulster, and my master cylinder basically like broke off, my front master cylinder, but it got red flagged, and I like going up, which is it, Jordan's Cross or the hill up, and they're like flat out right. So up the hill.
You know that flat out right.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, wept you.
There's going up the hill, I like rolled off because I seen the red flag, and when I got to the next like tight left right, I'd obviously slowed down enough, and I went to grab my brake and there was just nothing. So it would have been like, that would have been it if it wasn't for the red flag. And there was a few incidences like that, let's say. And anyway, they got me the opportunity, and I would, like, I don't think without that, I quite possibly would have never, like, been able to race again, because, like, nobody was prepared to give me the opportunity for free, and I had nothing to buy a ride with, so...
Was it from there to Burrows? Is that where the relationship with John Burrows started?
I did a few nationals and the Ulster with them, and then Burrows basically put me on a ride for the next year to say, do your first TT with him.
Didn't you win a couple of championships with John that year?
I don't think so.
Well, I'll tell everyone you did, yeah. You know, in the national scene. No, you went...
No, I didn't actually do that well at the nationals. Like, I did all right. I was on the podium all the time, but I got absolutely drilled by Derek McGee and Shields most of the time. Them boys are like on the national roads. They're so good and still are. McGee's coming back this year.
Is he actually coming back to the Irish scene?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, I know he's announced a ride in the R6 for...
IRRC or something.
Yeah, but is it confirmed he's doing...
I don't know.
God, because that will upset a lot of people.
I hope he's coming back.
You could put the two Derricks on a cupboard shelf for 4 years, pull them back out, and they will go win races. Yeah. They are, like you say, that like that.
Just a different style of riding on them like national circuits to like the Northwest and TT. And...
Would you call that style? Not that sounded totally flip, but their aggression to it. It's so they're not sketchy, no nothing. They just attack.
It's different, isn't it? But it's all they've ever known.
It's the tight corners for me. I struggle with like really tight, like right hand corners. And
shut up.
I always used to like,
even as a supermoto and motocross.
Thank you. I can go in like in entry fast, but like. Where I used to describe it, I'd like watch Shields and I'd come in to a corner behind him and he'd just literally go boom, or like on the side like that. It really, and I could never do that. Like I'd still struggle.
You need to feed it in,
tight,
roll it in.
Be a bit smoother, and he'd just go boom, on the side, back up. Like
hold on, you've described the total counteractive argument to thousand riding.
Yeah,
you know, and you're twice stock 1000 champion. That's pretty bewildering because obviously...
But on a short circuit, it's different. Like to a road end at
I agree with that.
Walderstown or something like that. Like, I don't know, just something else. something else. They're good at them.
The bloody, because obviously Derek rode for John for years, and you two were you two teammates for a bit as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah, only one race.
Yeah.
Actually, in I can't actually remember. One race, I think.
One
and
race.
Then Derek ended up doing his own. Derek rode for Pens in 18, and then I moved to Pens in 19. Basically followed him.
That's right. Because obviously, like you say, you did your first TT with John. I feel like we're going to fast forward. This career could take all up to this point, but like even going back to the minute, like obviously went with John, and then you went to Pens, and then let's quickly actually fire through that. So Pens
was 19, then factory Honda in 20, but then COVID. So that
made a mess of the job for everyone. That didn't it?
Messed the whole situation up terribly, because obviously TT got cancelled and Honda that year just were a little bit like, now the TT's cancelled, you don't really matter anymore, without being like too harsh or digging myself too much of a hole, but like just they had their BSB guys, and I begged to be in Superstock, so they're like, fine, you can do Superstock, like if you have to, but like you're here for the roads, and they're here for BSB. And when the roads got cancelled, they were like,
the priority was BSB,
like,
and
just do BSB.
You were an add-on.
It felt like very much an add-on in 2020, so that didn't really work out. TT got cancelled again in 21, so Honda just terminated my contract at the end of 20, or didn't renew it for 21, and basically then there was just Irish Nationals, so then Darren Gilpin at Wilson Craig, or who took on Wilson Craig, give me a ride in 21, did like just Nationals, because that was all that was on.
See, that's it. Like from the outside looking in, it was like you were trying to keep the Honda connection, but you at that point were you just you had no interest in Honda at that point. That sounds a bit flippant, but
no,
you know what I mean?
No, you was taking the opportunities that were available to you.
It was whatever was available. If the Wilson Craig bikes had been Suzuki's, it'd have been on Suzuki's.
Right.
Because the bike I rode at Armoy for Wilson Craig was a 2016 Fireblade.
Yes, that's
like
Superbike.
That is no connection to Honda. Like Honda in 2021
had 2021 bikes.
Like it's more a negative if you rode a 2016 Honda than probably rode another bike, because they're just going to be like, what are you riding that for? But they just had one. It was.
Did you honestly not have
old bike or something?
Like, there was no option that. I'm not saying, that was your only option, but you weren't getting people at this stage knocking down the door, the phone wasn't ringing. Because I remember when you were riding that Burrows bike, you was making enough ripples for people to be, this lad's doing a bit here. He's someone that people need to keep an eye on, and, there was...
But for the TT...
Yeah, but for the Irish stuff as well. Yeah, no, I agree for the roads.
The Irish
that's what
stuff,
I'm saying, that even for the roads, the people weren't knocking down the doors in 21, 22 for you.
No, 21 certainly not really. It was like for the Irish national, sure, but I was like desperate to be at BSB. Like I wanted to prove a point and be at the internationals, and the internationals weren't really happening. I'd sort of moved on from the nationals a little bit, and yeah, like I love the nationals, they're great, but I wanted to move sort of forward with where I was going in the BSB direction and the internationals, and that there was just no options for that.
What was it about BSB that you were going, I need to be in that, I need to be in that?
I guess the fact that I hadn't been given hadn't had a proper chance at it, and I guess I've done all the way through my career, like done motocross and then moved on, and supermoto and then moved on. Like I like the next challenge.
Were you looking at lads that you'd been racing with going, well, he's in it and he's finishing here and he's finishing, and I know that I can beat these guys?
Yeah, I guess there was probably a little bit of that, but a lot of them I didn't. Most of them probably I didn't know, but I was just, I don't know, I just want
it was
an
itch you needed
opportunity
to scratch.
Yeah. Like that sort of thing, and I still. It's a bit weird. Like I still almost don't see. don't see where I'm going with it.
How do you mean?
With the BSB thing? Like, I mean, I don't know why I'm that bothered. Like, TT is exponentially bigger and more important for my career.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to think about how you necessarily going to make the best living or the best money and stuff like that, TT is the way to go, not BSB. But, like, I don't know, it's got a hold on me that I want to go until I know I can't do any better than that. And at the moment, I have not had an opportunity where I'm like, I can't do better than that. I've won Superstocks and now Superbike.
Yeah.
And until there's a point I get to where I'm like, I'm on a good bike and a good team, and I'm not good enough to win that, then I'll be done.
That's why I've come back to that point a couple of times, because it feels like there's, like, exactly as it's got a hold on you. Yeah. I find it really interesting that it's something you can't leave alone. You're like a young fella with his knob. It's like, you just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Why do you keep going back to it? But it's something that's mithering you.
It almost doesn't make sense, because I enjoy road racing more. Road racing is better. It just is better. Like, you both know, like, the atmosphere, the feeling while doing it, the enjoyment while doing it, like, everything about it is better. But, like, I need to go back to BSB where you get no... I can go to...
You earn nothing, it costs you a fortune.
Could you, if you packed in BSB now, could you win more TTs without the BSB?
Yeah. I don't see any reason why not. I think...
That's interesting.
I think you would have to do something. Like, it's more... like what a lot of guys are using it as. Dean Harrison and Michael's doing loads, but he's not racing BSBs.
He's not invested in that as a goal
obsessed in winning the championship.
Yeah.
Dean's not obsessed in winning the championship. They're like getting dialed in for the roads. They're in a like different mindset. I don't know if Hickey's in that zone or potentially getting a little bit to that point. But he still has that little bit of like grit that I want to do well at BSB.
Because like looking through like your BSB career, it's like it's the same as Dean's in that side of things. You know, it was a bit like, yes, you had that background in short circuits BSB wise. You know, Dean did a bit, and then the roads. But then you look at your career. You know, in 2019, 15s in like stock 1,000. And then it went into the 10s, and then 10s, you know, and it wasn't like, to be blunt, like no one in this game is an exception to the rule of day one, bang, you know what I mean? No one does that. But your career has taken the same trajectory.
Trajectory.
Thank you. Yeah. Jesus, too big of a word. I know the word's in there, it's getting it out with the accent, that's a problem. But the same timeline's similar.
I don't think so.
No, the progression. You've won TTs now, and then you've...
sorry.
No, sorry. Like, not exactly the same as Dean's. But I'm saying, but you think about when Dean was knocking on the door, like, top 5, 6s, and then Silicon at the time went, right, let's put him in the deep end, BSB, and that was 600, stock thou, and then Superbike.
We haven't seen Dean in stock thou, though, have we? I'd be interested to see.
No, he's done wildcards. He's done wildcards, but not a full season.
But a full, I feel like that's sort of taking a little bit away from what you've done, because you've won 2 British Championships.
Oh no, but the mad thing, like, it's interesting here that, you know, that itch is still very much there, but his skill set, it's what I'm referring to, is the fact that it's developed through the short circuits and that sharpness, and now you're banging out 35s for a giggle around the TT circuit. But what I find interesting is, if you didn't do BSB, what would you do? Say you scratch the itch, you won BSB. And like similar to Michael kind of thing, Michael Dunlop in that side, like he doesn't. Would you do more endurance? Would you? What would you do?
Maybe, yeah. I'd love to. I've still got another itch for endurance.
We talked about that in 21 at Goodwood, didn't we?
You know, I'd love to. I would love to do that, and I was actually teed up to do Le Mans 24-hour with the factory BMW team at the end of the end of 22. No, the end of 23. When I left Padgetts and signed for Taz for the next season, but I did the last 2 rounds. I had a deal to do the last 2 rounds of 23 of BSB with Taz. The one before that, I'd like BMW had asked me to be the rider for the factory team in World Endurance at Le Mans. So I was like, unreal. First opportunity, can't wait. And then Buchan got a head injury at Cadwell, so then he was due to miss Alton, which was the 3rd last round, and they said, can you come and do this round? So I was like, that was more the goal at the time, and like the 24-hour wasn't really a like, right, I'm going to do this all next season, because I'd already, even though it stood for nothing, I already had a full contract for British Superbike for 2024 last year. So I had my full BSB Superbike contract for last year.
Everything you've been working.
I was like, I may as well have one extra practice round at Alton Park instead of just 2. I get 3. Like that, it makes more sense to do that. So that's why I was like, I'll do that instead. But
so like that's 100%.
When was that?
Oh no,
the end of 23
in August.
Yeah.
So that was the Bol d'Or it clashed with, not Le Mans.
It was a Bol d'Or.
But with the Bol d'Or, yeah.
But
which equally is
August, September. Yeah.
But if you did
September,
no, it's yeah. The 2 clashed though, yeah. Le Mans beginning of the year, Bol d'Or's the end of the year.
Oh,
so
it's
the
Bol d'Or,
yeah. Which would have been a mega one for you to go and do.
Yeah.
But if you did endurance instead of BSB, would you be banging out 36s, 37s around the TT course? You know, as a foundational skill set.
I don't know.
It's always the big question to me, because obviously I don't do British. I would love to, and who doesn't want to do that? But I just find that interesting. At the end of the day, Dave, you've won TTs, and it's interesting when you speak to a TT winner, what you see is what would be a valuable input, because you just think, well, you have to do BSBs. You're saying that's actually
but as long as you're riding a bike competitively somewhere,
so it's not the sharpness of short circuits.
I don't think it would affect you at all.
Endurance is still a short circuit. Motor America is still a short circuit. Like wherever else you race in the world, it's still bike time, seat time, competitive racing. Unless you're on a track day rolling around, which doesn't really have any point. Like you need to be racing somewhere, doing something
with a reason to push.
Like to push on to find your limits to be able to stretch that.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it needs to be in BSB is irrelevant. That's only because it's the most competitive place there is here. Like I could go do club racing, but it's not going to be competitive. So then you're not going to need to push to the limit and find that extra bit. So
Oh no, it's just a question I've always wanted to ask.
Yeah, but you look at someone like O'Halloran who's making that switch from BSB across to endurance. He's not going across to ride around at 50% of what he has been riding around at. Them boys are absolutely
like balls out.
Yeah, and
I've tested with a bunch
I actually think it'd be really good for your TT time, because it puts you in an environment where you'd be up the sharp end immediately. You would have to be fast, but you wouldn't necessarily have somebody to chase. You might have to be doing a certain lap time on your own, which is exactly what you have to do when you go to the island. You haven't always got a carrot, and you've got to just tick away. And actually, it puts you in my slightly biased opinion, towards a discipline that I've fallen in love with. But it would put you, I think, in an environment that's probably more relevant to where your main goal, and like you've said, where your money's going to come from, where the longevity of your career is going to come from, than the BSB side of stuff. Because you actually, very, very rarely are you having to knock lumps out of each other around the island. Very, very rarely. Well, you're never knocking lumps out of each other, but you're very rarely in a position of riding wheel to wheel with someone here. And the endurance thing, you spend a lot of time on your own. but you have to be fucking accountable for that lap time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if you're riding for them boys. You've got Gintoli looking at you. The old fella sat in the corner wagging his finger at you. You know.
Old fast fella.
Mate, fucking another level. Still. But I hope you get the opportunity, and I genuinely mean that, because I think you'll come away from that and I think you'll realise you don't need BSB.
Yeah.
Or but then you find something else that fills a void for BSB.
Nah, but I
need to I need to
tick it off.
Tick it first, or like I don't know what I'm expecting. I like, it sounds overconfident, it sounds big-headed, and I don't like saying it, but like, I believe that I can win BSB. So like, whilst I believe that, I want to do it and prove that I can win it. But if I get there in the next year or two and that mindset changes, and I believe that I ain't got what it takes to win the Superbike class, then that's probably the time I think about something else.
Cool. Sorry, Dan.
No. I was about to say, like, this brings us back to like knocking on the door, like Padgetts. You know, let's go back to the Padgetts. Or which avenue do you want to go down?
And I was about to say, I was maybe going to not go. I was going to go a year less than that, but I was going to go back. I was going to go back.
Go back a year. Go attack them.
No, because just when you said about the Superbike thing and you touched on it, I was going to say, so you go back to the end of 2023 with Cheshire Mouldings, and you've won the championship in stock. No, yeah, 22. Sorry,
Padgetts was before that. Was that
22? I won the championship with Padgetts. That was like my first proper year, I like to call it, in Superstock. Yeah. I did the rounds in COVID with Honda, but I didn't feel like I got really a fair opportunity at that. So then my first proper year after like years out was 22 in Superstock, and
with
won
Padgetts.
with Padgetts and won the championship.
So when you've won that championship and you're thinking, right, the next step.
Yeah.
All of that feeling of, I need to be in BSB, none of that changed. It just lit your fire even more. Even though you've become a British champion. I know they say, it's a British championship. Yeah. You've won a British, and arguably the fucking lunatic class as well, where you are knocking lumps out of each other. That is a hard class.
Yeah.
You still got, I need to be in here, and I need to be in Superbike.
Yeah, it's just another level, innit? So then you go to Superbike and go, that is the top one. So I want to win that now. I've like proved that I can do it at Superstock level. I want to do it at the next level, and obviously moved up with Padgetts in 23, and that it just wasn't. And I think Clive will agree with that as well. Like, a fantastic team, and like hence why I'm riding from again this year on two bikes, on a Super Sport bike and a Super Twin. Fantastic team, and I have a fantastic relationship with them, which for some reason got really misconstrued when I left. There was so many rumours, as there always is, about this has gone on, that's gone on, there's falling out, I've done this, he's done that. Like, none of it. We both very amicably agreed that what we would do, we'd basically like bitten off more than what was possible. Like, that team are fantastic. They've been in the game so many years, but they're very old school, the way they go about it, which is fantastic for the roads, fantastic for Superstock. For BSB in Superbike now, it's not old school. As much as everybody likes to go, oh, there's no electronics in that, there is. There's absolutely zillions of electronics. It's like the hardest thing about Superbike is the electronics. The fact that you're not allowed anti-wheelie and traction control doesn't mean there's no electronics. There's just
engine brake and strategies and everything.
Do you think that makes it even more complicated?
Yeah, it makes it more complicated.
Because you haven't got that as a safety net or as an aid.
Instead of using anti-wheelie or traction control, you have to use like different things to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like retarding the ignition and the throttle map and the engine brake strategy, how that works and everything. It gets like mega complicated with the electronics. Yeah. So that is the most important part, and it was just too big of a step for what was possible. And very quickly into the season, let's say, we both realised that we couldn't we couldn't do any more than we were doing, and I wasn't happy with 15th.
How difficult was that conversation? Or was it literally, you say like amicable, but was it?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Did you just sit down and just go, who, like...
Clive's very matter of fact though, isn't he?
Well, I do not know Clive at all. You go, that's Clive Padgett. That's Clive Padgett. That's as close as I've ever got on that side of things.
If there's someone that knows the details, knows the lap times, know what you're missing, it's Clive. Yeah. Because he knows everything about everything, pretty much. Like, he's Einstein level intelligence. The man is like incredible to just speak to. Like, unbelievable guy, and one of the nicest people I know. So he knew where we were at, like as he knew a team. He was incredible, like frustrated like I was, how passionate he is about racing as well and doing well. The same, I don't want to say the same as I am, because I don't, if anybody wants it as much as me, but like he wants it really bad, wants a result really bad and everything. So he was incredibly frustrated, and I guess feeling the same of like,
we are achieving what I want to achieve.
We thought we could do this, but
yeah,
don't think it's possible without the swing arm, without the yokes, without the mega budget that's involved, because we'd done Superstock on a budget.
Yeah.
Like,
the same didn't transfer to that.
People laughed. Like, people still didn't know and still don't know to this day. And they're like, oh, I remember getting asked the year after and even last year, oh, like what stuff to do with my data from 2022. I was like, yeah, we didn't have data. And they're like, no, come on. Like, what sort of brake pressure and what setup? And they're like, no, we didn't have data. We had none. Like, absolutely zero.
You had a Superstock bike.
We had, like less than a Superstock bike. And like simple things like that still crack me up. Like, we didn't have the top of the line suspension so K-Tech now have a through rod.
You would have been through rod. DDS.
So we had DDS in it. DDS in the front. We actually got through rod in the back. We started with Olins in the back, and Clive doesn't do a deal with the suspension company because he likes to use whatever he wants that is best. And we ended up, with DDS, and I'm like, everybody else on the grid who's on K-Tech has got through rod. We need it. And he was like, do you have a problem with the forks? I'm like, not really. I don't think so. It feels all right. And he's like, exactly. So I'm fine with DDS then.
He ain't the kind of bloke that's going to get suckered into everyone else is doing this. Well, we've used this, it works, and I respect school. That. It takes a fairly, especially in our world, it takes a strong head not to get suckered into the bullshit.
Yeah,
doesn't it? And if there's one man that don't get suckered into the bullshit, it's Clive, isn't it?
100%. So he really doesn't. So we were like in that situation with that in 22, and it was, I guess, a pretty mad situation given all that. It didn't really make sense. Let's say when you look and you go, oh, like we didn't have that and didn't have that. So then when we moved to the next year to Superbike, and we were like, I guess we got a bit giddy because we had less than what we needed in 22 and won the championship. So we're like, we don't need a swing arm.
How hard can it be?
We don't need Superbike brakes and yokes.
You're looking at lap times that are very similar. And
we're not far away. We can make
more
that
power
up.
And
the Motec was the biggest thing that changes everything. That we didn't have anybody. We thought we'd just be able to bolt it on and it'd be basic enough. So like with everybody really adapts this. Even the Superstock electronics now is an important thing to get that mapped right, get your engine brake, traction, anti-wheelie, all working really well. Whereas in Padgetts in 22, we turned everything off. It was literally
whiskey
like that.
Is that not better for someone like you though, with your background?
I loved it.
Supermoto,
I loved it. Yeah, I had no.
You want it to move about. You want to feel the limits
and control the wheelie with the throttle and the brake and.
Class, but then you jumped on it. We'll go down that route later on. But then you jumped on a BM with split throttle bodies and full electronic, and you could even hear in the lap time that you. Anyway, we'll go down that route. But like,
what was the TT like then? Going when you went to the TT with the Padgetts lads because in 22 then did you ride basically the equivalent superbike that you rode in 23, or did you ride What was your setup in 22?
No, in 22 it was like a Superstock bike.
In the senior and the Superbike?
Yeah.
And then for 23, did you use your Superbike
in
the Superbike and a stocker?
Somewhat, yeah. So we had some bits then and brakes, but we were having never-ending issues with brakes.
Right.
I couldn't really understand why. The bike was really nervous. Going Superbike, yeah. 22 was the delamination, yeah.
Yeah, 22 year was delamination on the Dunlops.
Yeah, 23. We just had all these issues with the Superbike that made the bike then nervous, and it was just in a bad way, like struggling with everything. Like I think we'd struggled so much in Superbike at the beginning of the year, we didn't put any time whatsoever to like roads practice, and then got to the roads and we're like, oh, we've not planned for this now, and now we're like heads deep in this Superbike thing, which we weren't making it work, and then got to the roads, and then that wasn't working working either, and we're like...
And then there was something in the water at the Padgetts camp, because obviously you were sick as a dog. You were getting injected on the line, and Connor Cummins, literally the toughest. Now hold on, there's the coolest man in the paddock, Connor Cummins.
I know.
The toughest son of a... Everyone else is whinging about a bit of metal. That man is full scaffolding, and he still gets on some... Like, it's phenomenal. Yeah. And he was out of action.
Ripped a trip out of his arm, did 133, didn't he, or whatever he did. It's like, phenomenal.
On the stocker. Fucking Jesus, he pulled it out the bag that day, didn't he?
You'd wonder what he'd have done had he not been poorly.
Yeah.
Because he fucking had a fire under him.
That was
He's going well. So he had it, basically missed nearly all of practice. So he spent 3 days in hospital in practice week.
What was it? Just sickness and diarrhea?
It's this like virus where
chlamydia.
Never ending like
strong case of chlamydia around the camp, but it only stayed in.
How did that get passed around? And then he got rid of it, and probably stupidly he got rid of it. It was all good. A couple of days later, we all went to Connor's for a barbecue. And then I got ill.
But what was the virus?
I couldn't keep water down. Like really? I didn't sleep at all then for the next 3 days, which was the Superstock race and the senior. And like I didn't sleep. I didn't eat anything at all in about 3 days. Like, cause I was just never ending throwing up. And like, do you know when you don't want to make everyone feel like at the minute, but like where you're retching, but there's nothing there, but I still couldn't stop like retching all the time. So they give you like a anti-sickness injection. It's for like cancer patients going through chemo and stuff, to give you this anti-sickness injection. The problem is with that has like side effects, that it makes you like a bit woozy and like dizzy, like not ideal for racing around the TT, to be fair. And they're like, this is probably not a good idea to race with, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna had to prove that I was all right, and ran up the stairs up the tower and shit like that was feeling all right. And I ran up the stairs, ran back down before the Superstock race, and I was like done. Like I was going to the start line, I barely could get on the bike, so I did like 1 or 2 laps in that race, had to pull in because I was like not doing well, and then did the senior and somehow like finished the senior. Just like count every lap, I was like, I'll just do one more. Just like, do you know where you in the gym and trying to do reps and you just set like one more, I'll just get to Glen Helen and then I'll pull off, and then you get to Glen Helen and you're like, right, just get to Kurt Michael and I'll pull over then. And every lap just talking my way around every single lap, and did like, I say shit, I don't want to like demean it. By my standards, I did shit. I finished 9th, but yeah, it was just not in a good way. Didn't have a good year. Was struggling with the bike as well, which didn't help, and just was sick. And after that, we're like, there's not really any point continuing at BSB because we're not getting anywhere. We're not doing anything. We'll do. What do we say? We'll do the Southern and Armoy, and not do any more BSB. So we did the Southern, and then there was the accident, and the Southern got cancelled after the first practice night.
Yeah.
Practice night. And then
That's gone by quickly, hasn't it, man?
Yeah, Armoy went and had a bit of a mare there. It was bad weather, and we really struggled with a bike in wet weather conditions as well, which I've always been like a massive strength of mine has been in the wet, and really struggled with that, and just I was just stuck in a bad place where I couldn't get out of it, so I needed the change.
So how do you deal? How do you deal, and how does Clive deal with outside bullshit? Because at the end of that year, people could see the pattern. From what they could think what the pattern was. Thinking, things haven't gone right, there's been a fall now, blah, 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 blah. You make the announcement, you're leaving. How much does that piss you off then? People just jump on the bandwagon and rumour. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I guess anybody that asks me, I'd tell them the truth. But other than that, you've got to blank it out because it's constant. In this industry, and a lot of industries, I guess, but in this industry, there's constant rumours. As we know, there's a few going around at the minute, and there's so many. And I guess you just got to, as long as the interested parties know the truth. Clive knows the truth, and I know the truth from both of our sides. Then we're good. We never fell out. We always kept in a really good way, and we sort of spoke a couple of times and laughed about the things that people were saying,
and obviously we're talking like towards the end of the pod, but the fact that you're back with Padgetts in the 600 and the Super Twin class is just, it almost just goes all them people.
I love it for that reason.
Just go, oh well.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know all them things that everybody was saying? Yeah. We're back together. Like I said, our relationship is good. That's why I'm still here.
Because those people haven't spoken to you. They haven't spoken to Clive. They haven't said, what's actually gone on there? Oh, well.
Just old Jim down the pub had said he'd heard from a good source.
Yeah. Hold on. Do not slag off Jim. He's a top lad. Right. Fucking hold on. I'm not having this, mate. Fucking Jim's a top fella. Fuck you. Sure.
Do you know, sort of on that point, how do you deal with, when stuff's not going your way and you are fighting the headwind? And do you think, are you good at keeping yourself in the right mind space?
That's hard.
Or do you have wobbles? Because you see someone like Michael, and you just think that the bugger can't be flapped, can he?
Same with Hickman, like Dean. Like to be honest, from the
there's a lot of lads like
everybody from the outset,
from the other side of the fence, is going.
But you and I both know you read one negative thing, or you don't do as well as you feel like you should be doing, and then you read a negative thing. Very easy to find yourself sat in the kitchen looking into your cup of tea for half an hour thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, that starting Superbike, and I was getting all that. I felt like I was getting tons, but it probably wasn't all that much. I won Superstock and felt I wanted to go in Superbike and win it. Like I hadn't really any other goal, and the amount of comments like that I read, and it was probably not even a lot, but a few, and they just stick with you where people, post online and go, he couldn't win that easy Superstock class, but he's just not up to the spec of Superbike. He knew he wasn't good enough for that, and just stick to the roads or whatever. And you're just like, it's easy on a bad day to let that creep into your head and go, maybe I can't do it. But then you need to get out of that as quick as you can.
Imagine you can have 100 positive, 1 negative, and that 100 just just grenade them.
It's the only one that you read, and it's bad because you might have, like you say, 100 comments on something, and 99 of them are positive, and there's one bad one, and that's the one that you read. That's the one that you
That's what
remember. You don't remember all the good comments, and it's sad, really, but that is how your brain works, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you what. Obviously, you two are really good friends with John McGuinness. And, John's very open about the same conversation. But are you a lot like John in the same fact of, John reads a comment and goes, you know what, fuck you. John gets revved.
John gets invested in him, doesn't he? He gets invested in him.
But it revs him. You can almost see that. He's like, oh, fuck. You can almost see him. He's sitting there, he's sitting there in his very, very nice house. And he's like that going, no, fuck. He's like Jim in the bar, he's like, I'm going to break it. Does that do the same thing for you, do you?
It makes me feel like that inside. Yeah. I've managed to control myself. I've had it with a number of different things. I had it with some things recently where I was desperate to like write something because do you know when someone's just got it so far wrong, but they're like stating it as matter of fact online, and you're like, I need to out you and prove you wrong in front of all these people. But you got...
What stopped you? What stopped you in that situation?
Just knowing that, like, it's not the right thing to do to lower yourself to that level. Like, you know, to keyboard warriors. What is it worth? Like, it isn't worth anything at all. And to be completely honest, I directly messaged a few people. So it's a sad thing, and I've explained a few people to a few people recently that when you get to like this certain stage in your career, and I feel really grateful, and like I don't feel like I'm at this stage, but like where you get a certain like level, people don't see you as a real person. They're just like, you're an object that races motorbikes for their entertainment, and no matter what they say about you, it doesn't matter because you're not real. They can call you every name under the sun on Facebook, but that doesn't matter because I'm not a real person, and that like couldn't hurt me as a person or be effective. So like a few people have said things, so I've like messaged them like privately, not like people I know, just obviously the profile comes up, clicked on it, clicked direct message, and went like, just explain it, not been a dick or anything like that, and just went, what is your problem? Like, you've got your facts wrong there. This is this, that's that. And every single time they're like so blown away because they never ever expected you to see it or to respond to it or anything like that, and that how much bravado and everything that they wrote the initial comment with, like really big in the high house, that they're then like nearly like begging for forgiveness in the message straight away, and you don't like one message and they're like, I'm so sorry, like I actually didn't mean anything like that, like you got it, you must have got it wrong, or I wrote it wrong, I didn't mean that, I'm going to delete the comment straight away every time.
Really?
And you're like, why did you write you wrote it because you never thought I would actually respond or say anything to. I've often said
that it's the same about everyone on the grid, that they don't see human beings inside a helmet and leathers. They don't see it's someone's husband or someone's son or daughter or wife. They see a helmet and a pair of leathers and a bike. So when they're sat typing what they're typing, it's not a person, is it?
It could be watching a film, like a make-believe character.
Yeah.
You're not like an actual person.
But when you leave the studio and this YouTube episode is finished and they finish watching you on YouTube, you're going to get out there, you're going to go in your van, in your house, you're going to make yourself a cup of tea, you can have your lunch, you can have a chat with the missus about, we paid the council tax. Do you know what I mean? It's all the normal shit, but they don't think like that, do they? No. And they don't know the damage it does. It's one thing that fucking narks me is keyboard warriors. Yeah.
Yeah,
but fair play to you. Fair play to you. I just wondered how because you are, like you say, you are now at that point, and you are as well, Dom, where people begrudge your success. Yeah. So they feel a need to... The only way that they can express their frustrations and failings at their own fucking lives is have a pop at you because you're doing well. Like I said to you at the top of your stairs there, like, do you ever stop and just think, I'm doing all right here. I'm ticking a lot of boxes. It's hard sometimes, isn't it, to just take a step back from your life and just have a look at and evaluate where you're at and what you've achieved. But there's some fucking boxes getting ticked at the minute, and it's important to just... Mate.
100%. And I genuinely, like I said to you earlier, like I try and think of it every day, every morning when I wake up, and be grateful for the position that I'm in, because every day I remember my story. So many people don't know it. That's why they write comments like that, because I think if they knew the kind of stuff that I've been through, that I lived in the back of my van, that I didn't have like 2p to scratch my ass with, you know, like I had nothing. And I've like worked so hard to get where I am now. And I'm like so grateful every day to think about, like, to even think what I get to do today. You know, I think if people knew that, they probably wouldn't say the things that they say. You know, people for some reason look and go, "Oh, it's all right for you, and you're a good team. Like lucky you." And it's like, I wasn't gifted this ride 10 years ago when I just decided, oh, I want to race motorbikes. Okay, factory ride for you. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like,
I remember you getting your Alpine Star deal. I remember you saying, you described the feeling of getting that.
It was like a schoolboy, like, in Alpine Star headquarters. So it was class.
And I remember talking to you about that, and you were like, it was a dream.
Literally.
It was a dream come true.
Literally.
Signing that wall.
Yeah, the way you told that at the time, because it was obviously fresh and everything else. I just remember thinking, fucking fair. I was so happy for you. I thought it was mega. It was,
Still is. I still think of that every day. I don't let it become... I think it's important that you don't let it become normal. All these things that you dreamed about, of the fact that I get to race motorbikes, like, all year long.
Yeah.
That was my dream. Like, it was never to have, like, all these other things. I like explain it in a way, like, I used to say, if someone offered me like minimum wage, so basically to race motorbikes, any kind of motorbikes whatsoever, to race motorbikes for the rest of my life, I'd like literally rip their arm off. Like, the fact that I just get to race motorbikes, I don't need anything else. Absolutely anything. Like, as long as I can do that, golden. So like, I literally remind myself of that all the time, that I'm like, you doing what you get to do. There's a ton of work that comes with it now that everybody doesn't see, but you know, I just bring it back to that baseline of, I'm getting to race motorbikes. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'll do the rest of the work. I'd have done whatever it took, no matter how much work, no matter how much sacrifice, whatever it was, to get to race motorbikes, living the dream. I mean, Alpine style levers, like, something I dreamed about as a kid. Got great people around me. I'm enjoying myself.
Mega.
If you're going to line up 10 boxes in front of you, 1 being you've achieved fucking nothing out your life, and 10 is absolutely everything possible, how many boxes would you take out of 10 where you are right now?
Of what?
In your life. In Davey Todd's life, 1 being you've done nothing. Zip. Fuck all. 10, I have achieved literally everything that I needed to achieve.
That I dreamed of.
I've dreamed of.
I'm at fucking 29, mate. Like, 1 to 10, I'm at 101, maybe. Like, I'm so far beyond my wildest dreams.
Class, mate.
Already.
But you see, I thought you were going to say 7.
7?
No.
No.
Because you still haven't won your British Championship.
We're going to take it down. This is what me and Joe do.
You still haven't done your endurance race yet.
Yeah.
So I think you're at like...
My goals just change all the time. As soon as
What a great way.
Did you agree with me then? That's why I thought...
I agree, and that is the perfect answer.
Yeah.
As soon as I get to a point, I just go, right, I'll have to change my goal now, because I've just, I guess, achieved what I always dreamed of achieving. Like, that was sort of weird in 2019, like in Burrows, like I made it work in that year, but in 19 I actually earned a wage from riding motorbikes. I travelled around the world doing IRRC, racing motorbikes. Like, that for me, that year
was the dream.
Was like, that this year is literally what I have dreamed of my entire life. Like, that's it. Like, I'd love to say I dreamed of becoming world champion or winning the TT and stuff like that, but I didn't. I just dreamed of being able to race motorbikes professionally, and I was like over the moon with that. I've always been competitive and always wanted to win, no matter what I do, and I know I'd never be all right with finishing 10th. But my life goal was to become a professional motorbike racer.
In 19.
And that was it. And like, I'd just become that. So then it was like, I change your goals a little bit, and I won't lie, there was like a factory Honda thing in there, and I had that in 20, a bit of a half of one, Alpine Star thing.
Fucking Rossi's ranch was fucking hold on, New Zealand. What else?
But do you know, stuff like Macau. That wasn't even on the list. Going to ride at Rossi's ranch, it wasn't even on my list of dream things to do, because you know what, you think that isn't ever, I didn't set that as a dream because I think that is not going to happen. Like, my dreams are realistic ones, things that I genuinely want to achieve and I'm going to work hard to achieve. I didn't ever think I'd be invited to go to Valentino Rossi's ranch to ride around with him and half the MotoGP grid. Like, I just didn't think I would ever go to that. But like,
so cool.
The week before, and I know we're mates with John, but I imagined it in a way that the week before I went, I was like, imagine saying to, like, I was going to say 10-year-old me, but like me 10 years ago, that I'm about to go to Rossi's ranch with John McGuinness. Like, how many bike fans' heads would absolutely explode at that thought? Just that, I'm going to Rossi's ranch with John McGuinness. They're like two biggest people in the universe in motorbike racing. In my opinion.
You're right. No, you are right. Like
John
you are right.
Rossi.
Yeah.
Like, ever since I was born, they're like two biggest people.
Imagine being a part of their group chat. Them two just WhatsApp each other.
Yeah.
John's sense of humour, you know what I mean? Tell an Italian bloke, you know what I mean? Like
Literally.
You can imagine what would he do to that?
It like blew me away. It was probably when I thought about it that John had sent me a voice note that Valentino had sent him on WhatsApp saying something about me, that he's excited for me to come and ride at his ranch, and I'm like,
what fucking universe are we living in here? Yeah, that's ace, isn't it? That's amazing.
Insane.
Yeah.
And like, that's without the rest of the amazing shit that I get to do. Like, I don't know, it's just off the scale, that.
And now that Rossi's ranch happened in 25, but let's go back to that dip, you know, the Padgetts dip, you know, between you and like Clive, you were sick, or didn't go to plan, everything. It was just that rough time in your career, and like Joe was saying, it's like that ability to pick yourself back up. And where did we get to at that point? That was the announcement that you were sat down at home and you just did a Facebook Live or something like that, and you went, I'm going my own direct. Or was it, did you announce you were riding for TAS at that point?
I think so. I maybe announced the split. We announced a split from Padgetts first.
Yeah.
And I did already have then a deal in place with TAS for next year, which was for last year now. So for the year after. But then they said if I split with Padgetts, then they'd consider doing something, maybe get me on a bike for the last couple of rounds that season, which they did do.
Yes.
The last 3 rounds of BSB I did.
And like at the beginning of this interview, we were talking about you're like praying and begging Philip Neal, can you not give me a stock 1000 ride?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we're getting a full circle here at this point.
So that was one of the most important things, not most important, a big thing for me, that he acknowledged that he'd basically wrote me off when he said, I know you've like basically begged me for years for a ride, and now he was basically not begging me for a ride, but saying, I want you to come and ride.
Professionalism, yeah.
I was going to say, did he come to you, or had you gone to him?
Yeah, they come to me, and I like, obviously at the time, at the beginning of 23, I had like a massive number. I could have nearly rode for every team on the BSB grid, but I stuck with Padgetts because I believed that we could do the job, and I was happy, and I'm like a loyal person. I don't want to jump around and switch teams and stuff like that. If I can avoid it, like I'll stick with where I'm at, and so I stuck with him. But I then had like still a ton of people straight after that saying, right, for next year. And as soon as they saw we had trouble at BSB or maybe weren't doing so well, I was getting like a lot of messages straight away of like, right, for next year, like, let's get something done. Like, this was in like May, you know, like before the TT had even started. Like, there was a few teams on already trying to sign us for the year after. So yeah, I'd already got something in place. I was already like sort of set. It was a frustrating year, and then you have a lot of doubt in your mind of like, what happens if it isn't the team and the bike and everything else. And maybe I'm not up to it and all that, but you're like, no, like, we'll see. I have a good team and a good package together, and I get to show how I can really go on a superbike. And then that all gets took away at the last minute, and I didn't get to do that, and I had to do Superstock again. So
was that solely the sponsorship element from their point of view?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to.
No, fair enough.
Say too much, but like a lot of people said it was the other one. There was maybe like 3 parties involved, and they all said it was their decision, and they said it was their decision, and they said it was their decision.
Yeah.
So anyway, the decision come round, and the team contacted me and said, you've no choice in it. You haven't got a superbike ride.
And at the end,
Skinner's replacing you, and you can ride Superstock or nothing.
It's that's the thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, like when you all have like you're an employee. If you know what I mean, and unfortunately, it's like turning up and just going, well, unfortunately, the job's changed. That's a difficult situation to be in, isn't it? You know, it's like when you sign up for something that changes, but got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, it was frustrating, more for the point of me of I've done Superstock. Like, I don't feel I've got anything to prove. I've only got something to lose. So going in as a
worse
Superstock championship, it was worse, because then in 22, when I come in with Padgetts into Superstock, absolutely not one person ever in a 1,000,000-mile radius expected me to be anywhere near. So like there was zero pressure on. There was pressure on myself, on me. I don't know.
Rich Energy Days for me and Chrissy. That every episode there you are. It's got to be done on.
Hang on.
A nice one.
Do you want to? We'll read. Grace, we need a quick shift of coffee drink. That's what we need.
Share the chlamydia.
Share the chlamydia. I'll get it. What am I drinking here, Davey?
Chlamydia is just. No, but like you say, you've gone Padgetts. No one expected you, and you've got that that bite between you, and you're going right. Let's go out there and ride, and you won that championship. And you've stepped up into this you've gone to Stock 1000, and you were talking about shit. You know what? I've got to do it again. How it must have been horrible.
I wasn't nervous that I've got to do it again. I was just like fired up because I didn't want to be doing it, and I wanted to be able to do it in a way that I proved a point. The goal in my mind was to win every race, to prove a point, and I did that basically until the TT, and then
you just now bear in mind Seeley was on that bike the year before.
Yeah,
that was right, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the BMW connection as well as everything on that side of things. But Seeley, the bike didn't quite gel with him, and this is when the Honda Cup, and you were one of the problems of making it the Honda Cup.
Yeah,
and the Stock 1000 is like, I call it the iPhone class. Because everyone goes, well, that's the newest iPhone.
Yeah,
who's winning? And
it is, and that was something that did get to me a little bit in 22. That anybody who says I won said, well, you won because you're on a Honda, so you can't not win on a Honda. Like how can you not? Like a Fireblade rides itself, and you're like, right, okay. So then it was something good in 24 in last year, that I got to come in on a bike that not one other rider was on. I ended up David Allingham ended up riding one.
It was brilliant
that nobody else was on one. So everybody's on this Honda Cup vibe, and even more Hondas. The few people that weren't on Hondas in 22 went out and got Hondas in 23 and 24. So like literally 95% of the grid was Hondas. And at this point then, Honda started actually providing active support to anybody who was riding a Honda in 22, basically giving them all Tom Neves data and any data that they had from me and any data from Dan Linfoot, who won in 23, that basically got, you can have every Honda rider's data to help you along, and everything. They're really putting a big push to help all the Honda riders. So I was like, we're going to show them.
Because the last BMW to win that was obviously Chrissy in 20, but that was on the the older generation before that.
Yeah.
But what was mad is like BMW took a huge jump forward with electronics on that side of things. But what's dead interesting, going back to Joe's, like, do you prefer the whiskey element of like riding the bike, and you were saying, oh, I love it how there's no anti-wheelie, nothing. It was just pure 100% feel at that point. And then BMW turns up, and the bike changed.
What was that first test like?
The bike changed, man, like it was full, here's all the bells and whistles. How difficult, or was it, tell me the transition between full whiskey and you could bury the throttle, it would drop onto 2 cylinders through secondary butterflies, and you could literally see your face mid-corner going, full, bang, to the tilt.
It wasn't like that, so I didn't have it as restricted as that. Like, I had still minimal resistance and like more in my hand. I did run split throttles, but I didn't run a ton of like anti-wheelie, and didn't run a ton of traction and stuff like that, and not a whole lot of throttle restriction, so it was still like more in my hand, so it was more rideable. But the biggest jump for me, as I really preferred the chassis, like jumping off the Honda suits. This is generalized, there's still big bikes, you still ride them like big bikes, but the Honda is a bit more corner speedy, and the BM is a bit more stop start. And
then he goes back to Derek Shields and Mickey. It's incredible.
I don't like a stop start bike. I like
this is the genius behind Davey Todd. I don't like that, but now I'm gonna have to learn to adapt.
But you're a nightmare to work with. What do you fucking want?
But like, that's not stop start as in a first gear hairpin, like a third gear corner that instead of railing round it, you'd like run a bit deep, like a bit more brake, turn
Point
it a bit, like V corners a little bit more than roll around them.
But it suited your style.
But it suited me way more, like that bike, and I knew as soon as I got on it that I was like, I like this. Like this suits me straight away.
Have you ever had that with a bike, where you've got on a different manufacturing gone, that makes sense?
I was like, I did the OMG WTF test in December, and the huge differences, you know, between the BMW. The BMW, a lot more in the bike, you know, you got more bike wrapped round you, but like the Fireblade, you're more on top of it.
Yeah.
And it was actually mad, like even when you had like Bradbury and who's our current British champion?
Kyle,
right, thank you. And but what was the most interesting transition was Talbot, because obviously you and Joel Talbot, I'm saying his name wrong. Talbot, you know when you say something so many times you break it. But at the beginning of the season, they were just like, what the hell do we do? You know, they were on 23s, they jumped on 24s because of the splits, and then people were trying to catch up to your level. Mm-hmm. But even at that point, like Joe was making it work, and when he hopped off the Honda at the end of the year and hopped on Alan's superbike, like this thing can win a British title, he was like, bloody hell, you're two in it, and you know that style. He didn't like it to begin with, and that from that top field. But going back to the more, I'm just more picking your brains now here, Davey. So I apologise to all the listeners for me jumping questions, but yet again, that mid corner, you're saying the BM was more attractive, more flow in turns. Is that right in saying that?
No, you said the Honda
flows.
The BMW
you can hang on the front end and it turns better. The Honda.
So arguably, would that not be better for the Isle of Man? The more flow in nature.
Yeah, technically, but you're also not hanging off the front end at the TT. Really?
Yeah,
you're not risking loads on the front end.
Because the facts are, you did a 32 with Clive, and then you did a 35, 30, was it 36?
35.
Let's round it up. We're in the pub here. Jim's in the corner.
Nearly a 37 ideal.
There you are. You see what I mean? That is a huge transition, you know, when you think, like, for people listening to this who probably, a lot of listeners haven't even been on a bike. That's what I love about this podcast. But it's trying to explain to people going, well, hold on. Why does that not work? And that does.
Yeah.
But it, like you say, you've hopped on it and you've just gelled with it.
Just gel with the bike. Just like personal feeling. And a lot of people struggle with it and like have been really struggling with it in Superbike. Hickey and Brooks and Haslam have all like struggled with it the last couple of years in Superbike, and everybody struggled with it in World Superbike. And then Toprak's got one, and Toprak is different. Don't get me wrong, but he also rides it in a different way. And he's been also telling everybody, you got to ride it like this. You can't ride it like that. To Redding, to Vandermark, to Gerloff, saying, oh, you got to ride it like this instead. And he's been like good and helpful to them, which needed to be, and made them better, telling them how to ride it a bit different. And I'm not saying that I'm Toprak, but there are a lot of similarities in the way that we ride. What he does on the brakes is similar to what I do. Like, I don't believe there's anybody better than me on the brake. Maybe Toprak. I'll give him that. But like, I've always been the strongest on the brakes. No matter who I come up against, I can be the strongest on the brakes. So stopping and going is something that's really important with a bike, and it goes and exits the turn really well when you're on the fat piece of the tyre. But if you're on the gas mid-corner right on the edge of the tyre, doesn't want to go so much. So you eliminate the point where you're on the edge of the tyre.
Because like, when you look at what you do, like do at the Northwest, you and like Glenn, because obviously arguably the chassis for the Ducati is designed for one thing: stop, like V-shape, like you say. Top Fighter is built for the Triangle of the Northwest, and that race between you and Glenn, how pissed off he's retired. Massively. I bet you watched that. He's pouring his heart out, going, that's the end of the race and everything like that. And I bet there's Davey Todd chucking the iPad across the room like, fuck.
I was. I think, was it in December, or I think it was while I was away. And you maybe at my mate's house, and they're like, what's up? And they're like, what? Like, why are you angry about that? And I'm like, just absolutely raging, because I'm like, now I can't beat him. It's took away my whole opportunity. I have no interest and there's going to be a battle no matter what. People raise a game, there'll be a battle, but
you wanted that battle.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually great.
And then there's so much regret there of like, I should have done more. Like, I should have been a little bit more aggressive. I should have done different things back then, and I've like ruined my opportunity now. But
Glenn's a businessman, if you win the Euros, I reckon, I know he's outrightly called it a day, but I bet a couple of million sniffing under his nose. So he'd be like that going, I tell you what, Dave, let's settle this on the track.
He's from the North East, he didn't want it that badly.
North Yorkshire, he's eager all that money, that's it.
Yeah.
But, because I tell you what, I've said this on the pod, and like, let's go back to your first TT win. And the thing that solidified that for me is you did it in the purest fashion.
The best way, yeah.
Like, no, and to even fast forward, let's talk about that win. In fact, let's talk about that win, because you've gone through, you're winning Stock 1000, you're on a high, and you just come in, and what did you do in practice week? You smashed your personal best.
Yeah, maybe done 33 or 34 or something in practice.
Third, fourth night of practice. Or something like that. It was just, even though the weather wasn't...
Yeah, because we didn't get a lot of practice either, did we?
Nah. And what was great about the TAS lads is they, from the outside looking in, they would look like they were giving you what you were asking for. In the fact of like, and you were very open on your interviews, and it's bloody refreshing to hear that, and you're just standing there going, look, they've given me a fast engine in a stock chassis. Not, it didn't have a fancy front end with fancy brakes or a fancy...
Fast engine's a stock one.
In the Superbike, so what was the difference in? Because you had two bikes.
Yeah, basically it was like a few horsepower more. Like, I rode the Superbike motor and I didn't like it. It moved the power from low down and put it at the top, but it took away that like torque and the initial grunt off the corner. But then when it was going, it was really fast. That's why Brooks and Hickman and stuff were going through the speed trap way faster than me.
207.
Yeah, they were like smashing the speed trap, where I wasn't. Where I was like, And everybody's like, yeah, but there's so many straights at the TT. Yeah, but there's also 260 corners. Like, forget about that. Like, everybody's like, oh, there's lots of straights. Yeah, well, there is, but there's a considerable amount of corners where if you're not in the perfect amount of RPM, and if you are and it's too aggressive and you spin, so you want it to drive smoothly, and that creates speed, like that initial drive all the way off the corner. So I literally tested them back to back in Navarra at the beginning of the year. And I literally did one session on the Superbike motor, and I was like, I don't want it. I want the stock one. And they were like, oh yeah, but like the Superbike motor costs a fortune.
Stu Johnson build that.
Fortune. No,
that come from BMW.
BMW. Yeah. They supply a 7.2 engine, the new spec BMW Superbike motor. Mental horsepower as well, and they were just, well, all the team were ruined. And Stu, my crew chief, was like, I know you'd say that. It's like, he's a
cool guy, isn't he?
Proper good.
Yeah.
And he was like, I knew you'd say that. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, what do you think of it? And I was like, well, don't come off and he was like, don't come off the corner is good. Yeah, it's fast top end, but don't get out of the corners as well, does it? I'm like, no. He was like, all right, I'll sort it. So he just went away and just give the stock engine a bit more in the Superbike, which is all I want. I would have been happy to ride a stocker. We're all forgetting that the Superstock bike holds the lap record at the TT. The 216 horsepower as a Superstock bike, they're more than enough horsepower. Yeah. Like, you can't tell me, oh, that's not enough for me.
Yeah. I need 220.
You know, like it's more than enough horsepower. So it needs to be usable and stuff like that. And yeah, you might lose a fraction down the straights, which I was losing a bit down the straights, but not a whole lot. There's a couple of, I don't know if you watch all the TT footage back where I catch Brooks. Sometimes when I catch him down the straight and then I can't, and he goes away and I can't pass him, but then I have to like lunge him into a corner or drive him out of a corner is the only way I could ever pass him. But
that Superstock Superbike thing started coming in maybe. I think it was Hutchie they did an interview with. And I can't think, it might have been on the task bike.
It was on the Tyco bike.
On the Tyco bike, and he rode it, and he just said, we're now at
the stock chassis.
A point where the engine's too much. And that would be probably, 2019, maybe?
Yeah.
2018, something like that. So it's been heading that way now for a few years, hasn't it? But
it has.
Like you say, 216 out of a stock engine is...
The thing is, with a Superbike, it is possible to get more. But the window's this big, and the window's this big on a stocker.
When you say more, get...
the lap time.
Bring the lap time down.
You can go quicker.
Yeah.
You can go quicker on a Superbike. I believe you can go quicker. But to get the Superbike in that window around the TT, it's fucking difficult.
And you need 5 nights of practice where everything's perfect.
Hickey rides a Superbike week in, week out.
Yeah.
Yet he still went quicker on the stocker because he struggled getting the Superbike in that window. You look, he rides nearly every night of practice he rides a Superbike because he's trying to get that Superbike in the window and they've got problems and need to ride it to get it right. And they finally just usually click by the senior, but then he's only doing the lap time what he did in the stocker, and it's like, fuck.
Do you think he would have benefited if he'd just if he almost parks that idea?
I don't know.
Do you think if he invests that time that he's investing in the Superbike, if he invested that into the stocker, do you think he would go quicker again?
Good question.
I don't know. I don't think you'd find any more at the stocker because the stocker's like you package and you ride it, and there's not a whole lot you can change because it's a stocker, so you can't turn the thing upside down. It's what it is, so you can ride it as it is. But that was my idea last year, and
they listen to you, and
that I like the Superstock package, so why try and reinvent it? And they're like, yeah, we'll just put brakes on it and just put forks in it, and I'm like, no. Like,
just give me a stocker.
Just a stocker. That's mint. Like, we're good. And they're like, all right.
So there's no resistance. There's no, we need to do this for BMW. It's, what do you want, Davey?
Yeah.
Because I imagine
when you have the right
level,
people.
You are now, going back to another point, you are at a point now where some decisions are going to have to be politically based for a team. Which, sorry, Dom, I'm ending up down a bit of a serious avenue here.
No, but it's right.
You've gone from...
But does winning on a stocker not look better for BMW?
I'm not disagreeing with you. But you are now at a level where John's at, and has been for a number of years, where Honda, there's certain things that he has to do in order to pacify Honda that he maybe wouldn't do because he would be more comfortable with X, Y, and Z, but he can't do it. You're in that position now. Hickey's in that position. You know, do you ever come up against resistance where they say to you, no, David, we have to fucking toe the line on stuff? And maybe you can't say anything.
With certain things there is. With certain specific things, but
you would never let it compromise a lap time or a result. If you thought, no, that decision is, I understand why you need to do it from a business point of view.
I've done it before, but now I'm in a position where I'm like, I feel like I've proved it enough now. Proved that I can win. So like, I've got enough about me to put my foot down and say, I know what I'm talking about. I want that. Instead of before when at the team had maybe said, you don't know what you want. You're too new to this. You don't understand, but this is going to be better for you in the long run, or something like that. Where now I'm like, I know what I want. I know what I want.
If you want X,
give me that.
This is Y. Exactly.
Fuck me.
But let's talk about that stock race. That you like. What was your mindset in that race? You think this is literally my baby? Let's have it.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I was fired up from the Superbike race, because the Superbike race technically would have been my first win, but Michael was leading, I was second.
The visor change situation.
I was a big chunk ahead a chunk behind Michael, but a chunk ahead of Hickey. So I had like second sewed up, and the bike wouldn't. And then he had his visor issue, and the visor didn't go on, and he had to redo his visor, and that would have been my win, and my bike wouldn't start, and we had a temperature sensor go down, and it was like mapping the bike wrong, and it wouldn't start after the pit stop, and like cost me 20-30 seconds or something, like where the Lee, my mechanic, pushed me all the way down pit lane. I had to stop before the line, because then he couldn't help me if we go past the line onto the track. So I stopped before the line and switched it off, switched it back on, wouldn't start, switched it off, switched it back on. Then he fully like reset it, turned the dash off, turned everything off, turned it back on, fired it up, and it went.
Fucking electronics.
I tell you what, right? I've met Lee a few times.
All the way back to fourth or something. And
is that Irish Lee?
Yeah.
Oh no, he is the gentleman in the paddock. Lee is an unbelievable human being. I shit you not. Right, the little I know of him, he would have pushed you a lap. You know, if you didn't have to stop on pit lane, he would have pushed you.
I almost thought the bike was going. He was pushing me that fast down pit lane.
I bet he wasn't flapping though, was he? Because he's calm. He's a calm fella, isn't he?
Yeah.
Calm fella, yeah.
Shout out Lee. What a human being.
Yeah.
But so you nearly had a win there. And then
But still, so many people come up to me and I was like, oh, that could have been your first win. I was like, wouldn't have been to me. Because I know it's an endurance race, and I know like it's possible to win them, like when somebody has an issue or whatever. But Michael won that race. For me, he was the fastest guy.
And by a long way as well. Like he
11
won
seconds.
Yeah. He's 11 seconds gone. Like
that was
it was his. So for me, he won that race. I was second quickest on that day, and I actually ended up finishing second. Michael ended up fourth in that race.
He did, yeah.
Because then I thought he'd actually give up, and like I passed him on lap 5, because then we'd both dropped loads. But then I was like fired up because my bike wouldn't start, and like rode hard, broke 2 sector records on lap 5.
Was that Glen Ellen by any chance?
Balaf to Ramsey and Bungalow to Kronk.
I tell you what, it's the first time I broke down at
I did one on that, the Balaf to Ramsey on that lap, and then last lap I did Bungalow to Kronk.
Fuck me, you went
on
like
the last lap, and towed Michael to the fastest lap of the TT24, because I passed him, and then he basically like followed me the rest of lap 5, dropped a little bit in the last sector, and then he basically caught me up by like 1.5 seconds, just like it was behind me, and then got closer behind me on the last lap, and he did like a 1:35.9, and I did a 1:35.6 or 1:35.7. So yeah, it was like fast last lap, because we were both pretty fired up trying to get back through there, but I managed to repass Dean and getting to second. But then I was, as I say, it was still didn't feel like my win. So I was like, the Superstock race, I knew it's going to be a good shot. But also, you say it's my class. Hickey holds the lap record on that bike. So like,
no, but I know what you're saying.
On that package of 136. So I know to win that race, I've got to go faster than I have to go on any other bike.
You've got to think like a bookie, so like we're not talking about your idea, but from the bookie's favourite, you're leading stock 1,000. You're on it, like from the outside looking in, everyone's going 20 quid here, 20 quid, Davey Todd. You know what I mean? And it's just
it was the one I'm like tipped to win, but in the same breath, like it fired me up before the TT because I wasn't tipped to win anything, and I was obviously fancying it. I felt good. I felt like I got a package underneath me, and all that anybody talked about was the big three, and like going into it of Michael, Hickey, Dean.
And every year that changes, doesn't it? Like Hutchie was there,
does.
And it's like
it swaps round.
Did that fuel you?
Yeah.
Going into it, you thought, why is nobody mentioning me?
Yeah.
Not from an ego point of view, but why am I not even being accounted in this? That made you want to kick the fucking saloon doors in even harder.
Yeah, literally.
Joe, you should have been a poet, mate. You should have been a poet.
Exactly that. Like it genuinely did like fire me up because I thought they're not even going, it's like outside chance here of getting involved, or like it's just about the big three. They're the only people in the mix. They're miles ahead of everybody else. It's only going to be them. I'm like, fucking watch this. So it made me feel a bit like that, and to win my first one in that way was the dream. And then especially not even that way, but in the last lap, as it was, it just I couldn't have won it in a better way for me to feel like I deserve it more. Like to the point, the full race was a battle with Hickey and Michael, and they both had no issues, no problems,
no breakdowns.
Absolutely on the pipe. We're doing mega laps, 135 laps on Stockers, and then on the last lap, Hickey had caught me up to Ramsey or Ginger Hall. I got a pit board +0 of like Hickey's dead even, and I think the gap was half a second or something between me and Hickey at Ramsey.
And everyone at this point is going, the mountain is Hickey's.
Mountain's Hickey's. Even my own team, because when I come in and I was like, you didn't even think I'd won that, and they're like, no, honestly, no. They're like,
your first thing was to bite at them,
like, and
fucking doubt me as well.
No, but like everybody in the right mind, you know how fast everybody is. Like Michael and Dean are around the TT course, yet Hickey absolutely trounces him, no disrespect, over the mountain. Like he's always like, remember that race a few years ago where he was like 8 seconds behind Dean at Ramsey, and he was like, I've got this in the bag, and like smoked him over the mountain by 12 seconds and won the race. And it was like, how do you know you got it in the bag from that far back? Like, but he's just that much quicker over the mountain.
Where was your pit ball going to Ramsey then? Breaking into Parliament Square?
No, I didn't have one in Ramsey.
So where did you say you'd
Ginger Hall?
Ginger Hall. Oh, right, fucking all
Ginger
right.
Hall, I'd +0.
Yeah, right.
So you don't have one coming out of the gooseneck? Nothing. You knew. I'll tell you what. People are listening to this, and he's just going to have like 20 people going.
Yeah, I was just.
So your last one's at Ginger Hall.
I had one at Ginger Hall. No, I have one out the Craig then.
Right.
But then
Bisto.
Yeah, Bisto. I think.
I think that is the happiest. He's from the Burrows team. He's the happiest man on the planet, and he would have just.
He's class, Bisto.
He's a hell of a man.
And yeah, I just saw +0, and like it's almost going through my head of like, I know it's Hickey, I know he's fast over the mountain, he's a man. Like, I've got to pull something out here. And then I caught 3 people over the mountain as well. I caught John, Jamie Coward, and Michael Dunlop all over the mountain.
Holy.
And to be honest, John was by far the hardest to pass. A nightmare.
He's not that big, how he?
Like, honestly, just riding so good. I think he's just fast, similar to how I ride or whatever. And where a few places I like showed him a wheel almost, and he was just like, whoa, like straight over the, like let off the brakes and into the corner. I'm like, jeez, like all the time I'm like panicking in my head thinking I've lost this. I've lost it. I can't. But just like kept my head down. And like got through him and ended up pulling 2.2 seconds over the mountain on him.
Wow.
So was like,
when you seen that on your board at the Craig, what did you think?
I didn't see it on because I think it was still +0 or something like that on my board, or it might not even I think it was he possibly put P1 +0, so I just didn't know. I was thinking I maybe didn't even look at it because I think I come out of the Craig behind Jamie Coward because I passed him into Brandish. I absolutely like that because I was like, I've got to do it. I've got to do it now. It's not the last place in the world that you want to go up the inside of someone.
Confidence that. But do you think that would have been the difference between winning and losing if you'd have not done it?
Maybe. I really don't know. I don't think it'd have cost me 2.5 seconds.
But in the same breath, if you went in that little bit too slow, you both had to squeeze the brake
and
harder.
If I couldn't have passed him by then Hilbury, and then if I hadn't and gone all the way up behind him, because I probably did end up coming over the line a couple of seconds in front of Jamie, because then I caught Michael like real quick up the cronk, and like I think I passed him coming out onto the onto Glencrutchery Road. Like I literally on the exit, I was on the gas that hard, thinking I need to find something here.
And then made yourself as small as you possibly could.
Yeah, and then just didn't even know. I just sat after the checkered flag thinking, I don't know who's won.
How long did you have to wait?
Well, I waited 22.5 seconds for Hickey to come over, but then he didn't know, and he just come and shook my hand and said, well done, mate. I don't know who's won it, though. And I was like, not a clue. I'm looking at all the crowd that are there, and I'm like...
Oh, that would have been worse, because everyone would have been doing 1, 2 or 1, 2.
Yeah, I thought someone would like tell me or give me a sign or something, and I don't know if it was just the panic or the... like... everything going through my head, but I couldn't make out anything what anybody was saying, so I just thought, I don't know, I'm gonna have to like ride up the return lane. We sat there for a minute and then rode up, and I'm thinking the whole time I haven't won it. Like he'll have caught me, because I caught them 3 guys. I'm like, Hickey will have picked me on the last lap, and I'm just that feeling of turning into the winner's enclosure, and the boys are there by the number one, absolutely going nuts. Like that is something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Like that is probably the single best feeling I've had in my entire life. I can't imagine a better feeling in the world.
Better than the senior win.
Yeah, probably because it's the first one, and it went to the wire.
It was a proper fight all the way.
And the senior one, providing the mechanical, I knew I'd won by the pit stop. I was 20 seconds ahead at the pit stop, so I won by 42 seconds. So
did you feel like...
know you've got it, and it was the longest 2 laps of my life, them last 2 of the senior, because I'm like, you're just listening to the bike going, oh, there's something wrong. Oh, that sounds weird. Oh, shit. Oh no, it's going to break down. So you're just like, like short shifting, not revving it for 2 laps. I'm like,
it's got to be one of my favourite things, because all of us have done the TT, and it's mad because obviously that stock rate, we're sitting here more revved up about that was a proper fight. But winning the senior is life-changing. You know what I mean? That is huge. It's fucking humongous.
It's life-changing.
But then it's mad because it's like there was crap, like the fight naturally happens, you know what I mean? Breakdowns, clutches, you know, people crashing, anything. That's still racing. You still won the senior.
Yeah.
But that
I don't feel like I didn't deserve it or anything like that in the sense of we'd all pushed each other that hard, and Michael, before he had the issue, was already like mine and Hickey's standing start lap. There's never been a 35 standing start lap, and we both did 35 standing start laps.
Wow.
On the first lap of the senior, so we were like on from the start. And I'd basically spoke to the team beforehand and said, we've got a plan for this. There's more strategy than you think than just riding hard for 4 laps, 6 laps or whatever. There's more strategy than that. So like we need to like play this out a little bit better. So I said, for the first 2 laps, I'm not going to go all in. I'm going to ride steady. I'm going to ride well within myself.
Yeah, conservative.
Very conservative. And then see where we're at the pit stop. And if I need to go, if we're within range, within 10 seconds, we're good. We're within shouting distance, because then I'll turn it on and know we've got more in there. And yeah, Hickey went down with 6-7 second lead when he went down, and I'm like grinning, not grinning at his crash. Grinning in my helmet before that, been like,
I'm in the window.
He's right there, and I've not gone. And I'm like, I just felt so good about it. Like had such a good feeling. I was comfortable with the bike, happy with everything. I was like, we're in the mix here. Like we're in for a good race. And I was just proper excited by it. And then I didn't know anything about it. I come out of the Craig and got the pit board off Bisto, because obviously Hickey's behind me, setting off number 10. He went down, and then the next pit board I got was coming out the Craig, and it was P1 plus 20 or 19. I was like,
in a senior 6-lap race.
What? Like, nah, like that can't have been my pit board. Must have been the wrong one. And I got into the pit stop, and the boys went, just keep it calm. You're 20 seconds in the lead over Brooks and Dean. And I was like, what? Like,
what is going on?
And I was like, I won't even ask. I'll just like...
Don't want to know. Do you know, going back to your point about, and this might not be relevant, but you feel that because Glenn has retired from the Northwest, like you feel like you can't put that one to bed.
Yeah.
And Michael had his issue in that race that meant that if you had have won it and you hadn't had the issues, you wouldn't have felt like it was your win because it was Michael's win. Did you have any of that feeling in that race with the senior when Peter went out? Or was it, do you know what, I was going to win that whether Hickey was on fucking top form or not, because I know exactly where I was.
Yeah.
And I know that no man on that day was going to beat me.
I felt like that, yeah. I didn't feel...
Just playing devil's advocate to the situation.
If I was 20 seconds and I was riding all in, and he was 20 seconds in the lead, and I'd have won, yeah, it felt great winning the senior, but also a crash is different for me. A breakdown is something different, but a crash, it's your own mistake. Like, you're pushing too hard. We can all ride over our limit and go potentially really quick for a period of time, but you're risking too much. You go over the line. The idea is that you ride below that line, because if you crash, you won't win and you can risk more.
I'm not devaluing what you did, by the way. Don't take that as me saying
no,
not at all. Because I the way I saw it was the monkey was off your back when you won that race.
100%.
Yeah.
And as 100%. Soon as, and that was the other thing I was going to say to you was, did you feel like when you'd won that race and you'd put that one to bed, you could immediately relax because you've done it? I've done that now. It's in the bag. I know I can do that again. The fucking monkey's off my back. I can just enjoy my racing, and I know that I can win more of these.
The Superstock race was that. The Superstock
then
race
the rest
was that
of the
for
week
me.
is more
because everybody was like, oh, you ain't got to worry about the rest of the week now. You've won, you won. You won't be bothered about the rest. And I'm like, no, the monkey's off my back. The pressure's off.
Yeah.
I'm going to win more now.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a good place. I was gutted. Obviously, we didn't get a second Superstock race. I felt like that got taken away from me.
I gutted on that side of things, the fact that we didn't get another stock race, because that would have been... confidence was high. You were just going to breeze through that one. And I can't believe I've just said the words breeze through a TT win. It's the hardest thing to do in motorsport, period. And I'm like, just fucking do another one. You know what I mean?
I'm not too sure about breezing through it, but I'd have definitely had a good go, and there was a massive weight lifted off my shoulders with getting that first win. So then I felt fired up to get some more, and I felt like more after that. Now, I don't want to say that would be easier, but it is easier when you've not got that big weight lift, that weight on your shoulders of the first win.
Yeah.
And it sort of goes through your head quite a lot of the time. And I had in my head for my first win to get in 23, and we just had a nightmare of a year. I got my first podium in 22, and 23 I was like, that's when I felt ready to win TTs, and just as we said before, I had a bit of a nightmare of a year, and so to get it in 24, just it was good, because a lot of people go, well, Guy Martin went forever and didn't get a win, and you sort of think that this little voice in the back of your head saying like,
don't be a bridesmaid.
What happens if you never get one, sort of thing? And no matter how close you get, and you get a load of seconds, a load of thirds, how amazing that would be, but never getting a win, imagine. Like, but to actually then, on the other side of that, get your first win and first 2 wins is just it. You said before, it's life changing, and John McGuinness come up to me and he said he said exactly that. He actually come to the podium as well, which was real special, and he said, that's it, your life's be different now, it's changed forever. I'm like,
class.
All right, I didn't really understand, but I've started to understand since the TT last year. My life's different. I got invited to Rossi's ranch.
Yeah.
How instrumental has John been in your TT journey? Because when we interviewed him, when did we interview him? Last year.
The TT, yeah.
He refers to, he always speaks very fondly of you, and he'll say things like, my man Davey.
Says I'm his protege.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
So how it goes without saying he's been influential and been a part of it, but when you look back now over 10 years, it's been a mad 10 years, and it's a relatively short time to have achieved what you've achieved in road racing, sports bikes. It's a lot it's a fucking quicko progression. How pivotal has John been in that journey?
Yeah, he actually really has. Less so. I don't want to say less so with the riding, but he's not going, oh, you need to tip in here and you need to brake there. The advice is not what you'd expect. It's more your lifestyle and away from the track, and how to go about what team I should ride for. Not specifically telling me, but a lot of really important guidance, choosing the right path along the way, and just life lessons, really. He's so experienced. There's no one with more experience, certainly at the TT, who's still around now, and no one better I believe to have in your corner. Not even just for the TT. People forget everything that he done. A load of Superstock races that he's won, and he's been in World Endurance, World Supersport.
Yeah. He's a doer.
He's been around and knows a lot of people, and knows a lot about a lot of racing, and he's probably undersells himself on a lot of it, and doesn't know his own value. You'll know that from knowing it. But he definitely undervalues himself with a lot of it. But he's an amazing person to have him. I feel like I've got him in my corner, and no matter what, he's had my back and got me out of a lot of tough times. When we spoke about it before, to name a few points, in 2022 when I had the tyre delamination issues, I was almost ready not to race, and it was John and the whole McGuinness family that sort of helped get me out of that mindset. Not telling me to race, but just sorting my mindset out, and
think of the bigger picture,
getting me into a way of enjoying it and being happy and chilled out, and they're just fantastic people to have around.
I'm a firm believer in this sport is 90-10. Only 10% of it's actually riding the bike.
Yeah.
90% is the politics, the game, the bullshit, the foot. You know what I mean? Actually, that 10% is the actual fun bit.
If
of racing the bike, you know what I mean? If it's
actually in a time period scale, if we're percentaging it down into how much time you spend riding a bike and how much time everything else, it's probably less than 1% of riding the bike.
Yeah.
It's 7 days a week, 22 hours a day of everything else. And there's so much more involved with racing motorbikes than racing motorbikes. And
100%.
That's a big part of what people outside of the sport, I guess, or not outside the sport, but who aren't riders themselves, and I guess our position, that don't understand that. Like, and no matter how much you tell people, oh, I've got loads to do, still my mates who are close to me, who I know have seen all the work I do away from the track, they still go, yeah, you just ride bikes, so you're not like you do any real work. And it's like, I work more than a normal job. What, like a 9 till 5 would, if I work just from 9 till 5, 7 days a week even, that would be a breeze. That would be like, honestly, that would be a godsend, because it's not that. And like, I'm not saying that I don't want this job. I'm just saying the work involved in it.
Yeah, you've got to work for your position. 100%.
There is a lot of work involved that has nothing to do with actually sitting on a bike and twist and throw. You know, all the politics and everything else that goes along with it is incredibly time consuming, stressful. It's the hard part, and it's the riding that gets you through that, thinking, we'll just get through that and then I get to race this weekend.
100%.
I was away in Portugal with Triumph last week, and I was sat talking with a guy who...
Big flex, that, wasn't it?
No, hardly.
I was riding at Doncaster motocross track.
It's all right, I pissed it down for 12 days.
Good.
But I was with a lad who's done the Dakar and done a bit of endurance racing. And I'm sat talking to him, and he said... we were talking about what's plans for 2025, and I thought it was really interesting. He said to me, and I don't miss or envy the situation any of you guys are in, having to ride for a team, because he said, when I went and raced, he said, I just did it because I wanted to do it, and I had a few sponsors. Me and my brother did it. You know, they were at a decent level. Like I say, did the Dakar, finished the Dakar, the resources and the time and all the effort to do that. But he said, I was always doing it for myself. And he said, I never ever envied anyone that had to do it for a team where there's an expectation, because he said immediately the job changes massively.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realise that either, that you lay in your bed on a night time thinking, fucking hell, BMW are looking at me to deliver this. You know, we can all be confident about something, can't we? But there's pressure there. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and it changes the dynamic of of the sport that we love as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not even that. Like, you know, you've got a lot of people hanging off it. You know, all the team sponsors, the team themselves, the team sponsors, and your personal sponsors. All in all, there's 30, 40 people looking at you going,
they've all invested a huge amount.
Why did you finish second at the weekend? What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's the problem? And you got to have that conversation with 40 people, 35 people, you know, the same conversation of what's the problem? Why did you not win? Why did that not happen? Like, what's going on? And like, you had a crash or something else happened. Why did that not happen? Explain to everyone why that didn't happen. And it's not, you get them all in a room and tell them all together. It's like individual phone calls, individual relationships with everybody, explaining, you know, why their investment is worthwhile in what you're doing, why they're involved in the team or running you as a rider for the team or anything else. But they're just I always imagined that it would go the other way. The more successful that you get, the less you would have to do.
No.
But it's really far the other way.
P. Diddy said, more money, more problems. If you take away the P. Diddy bit, that's very poetic. You know what I mean? The more, you know, the further up you go in success, the more problems are created. You know what I mean? It doesn't go the other way. Simple as that. And you're experiencing that.
Yeah, for sure. You just go up, and everything goes up. More people want a bit of it, and they also want more. But for more investment requires more responsibility, more time, more effort, all around. And it's gets to a point where you're like, I can't possibly do any more. And that was like a few years ago. And then the next year is more added on top, and you're like, I didn't know more was possible. And then this year again is like more again, and you're like, how, like, is it actually possible to do anything?
Up until the point that OnlyFans ring you. And then
nice.
And then you go, I could probably make a bit of time and a bit of space for you.
I'm just shaking.
Come on, Davey. Come on. Spill the veins.
So yeah, I'm a OnlyFans athlete now. So that's
amazing.
What a lad.
OnlyFans athlete.
What a lad.
So it's pretty cool actually. It's pretty cool. I know the opinions would be pretty split because I was sort of setting myself for a bit of backlash, and I think we're actually recording this before the news is out, but news is coming out soon before this is coming out, but yeah, it's like I think it's preparing myself for the backlash from it, but like it's just from people who don't actually fully understand what the platform is.
Yeah,
and that's the biggest thing. So the whole idea what OnlyFans, when it was created, was intended for fans of athletes and celebrities and stuff like that as a subscription-based social media platform. So basically you could get exclusive content from your favourite athlete, whatever that may be, whether it's tips on riding, tips on your training plan, on your diet, like maybe behind the scenes in a garage from a weekend, or insight into a debrief from BSB, or like exclusive updates from live at the TT and stuff like that. You know, you can get so much more from something like that and engage with your fans directly, with your I don't want to say bigger fans, but more interested fans. You can get closer with your closer fans and stuff like that. They can message you directly on OnlyFans, and you can discuss important things that they want to ask you. They, might be an aspiring club racer, and they go, "How do I get into this? How can I have some tips?" And you can do that all in a proper way over on OnlyFans.
And the whole thing about when something is subscription based, that if they're paying because they're serious about something. So chances are anybody sending you questions on there, they are legitimate, loyal people that are genuinely trying to get something.
But it's not all actually, so that's all like a thing as well, that it's not actually all paid for. So my subscription to my channel will be free, and I'll have a lot of free content.
Right.
Some of my content then will be, you'd be required to pay the small amount for it. Might be £3 or something like that for what I do in my training in the gym or something like that. But I want to find out what people want to see, from the training or riding tips and something like that. And then you can charge for one specific video or something like that, but I'll have a lot of free content as well.
There you go.
So OnlyFans, the company sponsoring you, or is you just making an account for the athletic side of things?
No, so the OnlyFans are actually sponsoring me directly.
Ideal.
So they're really big in the game. They're wanting to get much bigger in the game with a lot of different athletes and show that all the stereotype that maybe is surrounding OnlyFans.
If we see you selling socks on the side, it's just a couple of foot pics of Davey Todd. This is just when they're seeing you. Give me $1,000. Look, you see his eyes glaze up. That's a brilliant idea, Tom. That's a brilliant idea.
That's the only thing that sort of goes with it, is it's a subscription-based platform. Yeah. So what's behind the paywall is up to whoever's created their channel. And like, if you're subscribing to their channel, you want to see their stuff and you know what you're subscribing for. Whereas my channel, it's out there that I'm a motorcycle racer, that I'm going to be showing you tips and training and whatever else, behind the scenes info that people want to see. So that's what it'll be. It's not like, there's this big thing behind it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, subscribe and find out. If anyone's curious, all joke aside.
Absolutely.
All joke aside, sign up, find out what your channel's all about on that side of things. But I think it's good that these huge companies, because they've been involved in Motor America, they've got MotoGP, the Moto2 team, were heavily involved in them, and the motocross is getting swamped with it now, which
There's
is
a few
brilliant.
car racing people involved in it.
Car racers, everything, golfers, tennis players, footballers, everything, boxers, every sport you can imagine. OnlyFans are getting involved with it now. So
class.
It's going to be the new social media platform that people are going to. somebody told me the figures the other day, and I don't want to like massacre it and like say it in a completely wrong way, but it was like the numbers that on OnlyFans now, and the rate of growth is similar to that of Amazon. And
Right.
like,
Holy
I want to
shit.
say an e-commerce site or something along those lines. It has a similar
Yeah.
growth to Amazon. So
Wow.
then on that level, you're like, okay, it's not some backstreet little
No.
outfit that dodgy things are going on at. Like, this is huge. And like this, I don't think I understood well enough, you know, a bit of time ago. I don't think I knew well enough about it. And there's so much to it. There's also OnlyFans TV that goes alongside it, which OnlyFans TV is then no subscription. It's similar to like YouTube. So all my vlogs and stuff like that are going to be on OnlyFans TV. So they're like completely free to watch, and they'll have all similar content from other racers. Josh Herring, Sean Dylan Kelly are on there. Logan Carnow, the Supercross racer, they're all posting videos and content on OnlyFans TV. And then the idea behind that is like that backs up your actual OnlyFans account. OnlyFans TV is like a separate thing that's similar to YouTube, which is like longer video content that's open.
There you go.
That's another string on the bow to the
they-
busy lifestyle.
Did
isn't
they
it?
come to you then?
Yeah.
So I think that's cool because, as you say, it means our sport is starting to get recognised
Well, it is. Isn't it?
by international companies, but American international companies, because they're American owned, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. I think it's only a positive for the sport, isn't it? You
Well,
know, when you put it that way.
If cigarettes didn't kill so many people, we'd have them still.
Yeah.
No, you think, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when cigarette
drank most
sponsors
of
and
that,
everything like that. Yeah, there's it. We'll talk about that another time. On that side of
Give you my chlamydia. Have a different strain.
Yeah, the actress class, man. But I tell you what, I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to talk about the future. But I tell you what, I think we could almost the TT's so early on in the year. I feel like we could quickly and unfortunately quickly bio through, because we could have like another 3 episodes just on the rest of that season. But you're also developing and Podium the Ducati V2. So the only person to take the Ducati around the TT since Rutter, who was doing 26s, 27s. You were doing 28s on a Ducati V2, which is super sport spec. And then you re-won the championship in Stock 1000. Did you do the Southern 100 that year? Yeah.
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Last year gone.
Yeah.
And
Won
then
the Southern.
you won the Southern 100. Armoy went there and blitzed that record.
Won that.
Help me out here,
Macau.
mate. Macau. Well, hold on.
Technically.
Now, let's talk about the honesty of that. Now, you know the qualifying lap. If you did a shit qualifying and you got third, would you feel? How do you feel about that? The fact that there was a podium.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like one of the very few places that we race in the world where they do declare results, and it's in the rules.
It's in the regs,
they've not just made it up beforehand.
No.
It's in the rules because it's a one-off race, and it's once a year. It's not a championship. It's not like you can go, well, the round doesn't matter because we've got the next round next weekend, and that'll really decide. They're like, if the race doesn't go ahead, it's decided off qualifying. If qualifying doesn't go ahead, it's decided off practice.
Yeah.
Like, it all steps down no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Every step of the way is valuable. And Macau was just a nightmare. Like, last year, they've never had weather like that. It couldn't have been any worse for us. We only ride in the dry there. And got hit by 3 typhoons in a week, which has not happened in 50 years of Macau or something like that.
Davey Todd, wet, like you can ride in all conditions. That's fair to say. But you are a confident wet rider.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go around Macau in the rain?
Ooh, probably not.
No, it's like you think, because people thought like the tyre, like there's like Formula 3s, touring cars, there's like 4 different car classes going around there. And if rain hit that tarmac.
And because there's no runoff for the cars, when a car understeers for half a second, the car hits the wall at 100 mile an hour and drops oil and fluid and everything on the track, which is then, it's not fine, but when the next session of cars goes out, touring cars, and there's a bit of oil down, you have a bit of an understeer, and that's all right.
And they just
keep
pushing
going.
The oil.
If we have that, tuck the front, you go down, you could potentially, not be here anymore. So, like, it's not a serious option for us to be riding in the wet conditions. In saying that, like, the conditions that we did qualifying in were not the best conditions I've ever rode in on slick tyres, I have to say. Patchy bits of damp and a bit of oil dropped down, and it was like not confidence inspiring. I went out and it was my first ride for FHO, rode with different suspensions, so we'd had to adapt the bike a little bit. It felt a little bit different to the bike I've been on all year, and just a stocker as well. And sort of went out, and there was patchy oil and water down everywhere. So I came in. We needed to make a change with to the gearbox on the bike anyway, and came in. I'd only done about 2 or 3 laps in practice. I hadn't really done anything more than that, and I was like, we need to make a change. The team, actually my crew chief Stuart, made the call that he was like, let's change the gearbox, even though we had qualifying straight after it. Fortunately, there was a red flag. Somebody else dropped oil and it got red flagged, and then there was a bit of a delay, which gave the boys time to change the gearbox in like 30 minutes or something.
That's a bit. It doesn't matter
maybe even less than that. It was on. Like, to be fair, some job, and they managed to do that. Got me out after qualifying had already started. Managed to go out there and do a lap. I was over the moon with a lap that I actually did. It was like we were nearly at the race pace that we did the year previous.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't expect that at all. It was a pretty steady lap, to be honest. Like, I was just trying to be safe and not do anything crazy, and ended up qualifying on pole, and we all didn't have a whole lot of time to put in qualifying laps and stuff like that, and that ended up being the race win, because the race got cancelled and they said, right, we're going to declare it off qualifying, which was a mad way to win your first Macau, and not really, it won't be the one I'll talk about. It's not like the Superstock win where I was like, that's the real one where I won straight up because I was the fastest person.
Yeah.
I think I deserve it more than Michael Rutter when he won it the other year and he got the whole shot of the race and it got declared after one lap. Because technically, not demean it, but he wasn't the fastest person that day. He was never going to win the race. Hickey just got a bad start and passed him on the second lap, but then it gets reversed back a lap under the red flag. So he led the first lap and got the race win. Whereas technically in qualifying, I was the fastest person at Macau last year.
I tell you what, I must say,
still not a real win, but
no. But at the end of the day, the history book, you're in the
goes
same
in
book.
The history book.
No, goes in the history book. But everyone's in the same situation. Qualifying, blah blah blah. The rules are rules, but it's mad. Like,
got the prize money, most important thing.
There we are. There we go. Speaking of prize money, a little fact that not many people know about that Rutter Hickman. Rutter actually gave Hickman the money.
He did.
Did he?
He did. That's a proper gentleman right there. You know what I mean? It's like even
Rutter's got enough though. He's got loads of it, hasn't he?
He's got Brummy money, hasn't he? You know what I mean? It's all Peaky Blinders.
Coming out of his ears.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean?
But no, he did. He did. Because, again, like, he knew that.
Yeah, no, but Rutter didn't have to do that. Hickman didn't have to do that. No one has to do that. You know, it's like, it is what it is. But he actually went, there you go, son. You know, it's gentleman's agreement on that side of things. But obviously, you went over New Zealand. You've spent everyone else is home freezing their balls off, and you and the missus are just sun tanned and pedaling bikes, twat. But let's jump straight into it. Next year, what's going on? Jesus, wet man, where is it going? That's terrifying. So what is going on? Yeah,
so
back on BM.
Sort of alluded to earlier. There's plenty of rumours flying around at the minute, and everybody's pretty excited to find out what's going on. But the original plan was obviously to be on the FHO bikes and back on BMW, which was the most important thing for me. That like we spoke about. I love the BM. I really feel like I gelled with it. I had plenty of options to ride different things, which are exciting. But I love the BMW, and why change?
Why fix something that's all broke?
Exactly. Don't fix anything. I've just won my first TT on one. Be crazy to ride something else after I've just done that. So back on a BM, which is really cool. There's a new bike coming out this year as well, which is really cool. 25 one that's meant to be even better. Spoke to Top Rack and his crew chief the other day, and they rate this new bike.
Name drop. See how he's just hanging around with the BMW Echelon.
Another big step, which is exciting, and it's come about in the last couple of months for whatever one reason and another. You know, that it's better to go a separate way with me and Pete and FHO, and for me and Pete to actually set up a new team on our own, 810 Racing. Faye's going to go in and do something, a one-rider team, I think. Right. She's having to spend a lot more time in Macau these days, so is not able to spend as much time in the UK and stuff like that. So we've worked out a better way of doing it that suits everybody in a better way. And I'm not sure I was ready for the move, but it's really exciting. I'm like dead pumped about this opportunity. Like don't feel like I'm long into the game and going to be a team owner alongside Peter, who's already a good mate, a big rival, of course, but we've always had a really good relationship, and now with us being teammates, we knew that we could do something cool together and set up a team. We've both got some fantastic people around us already. He's been working with the same guys for a lot of years. I'm bringing my guys from last year, or a couple of guys, Stuart and Mike from
brilliant, who
were my main guys last year. I swore that I wouldn't do anything without those guys this year, even though Stuart kind of wanted to retire. He didn't want to really.
Oh, he did. He did. He's our next guest, and he's already texted. I wanted to retire.
He's been in the game a lot of years, but when we started working together at the beginning of last year, like almost one of them relationships, like felt like we'd known each other years, had a fantastic relationship, get on really well, really good mates, as I am with Mike, which is his first year working in motorcycle racing. Previously been in cars, but another fantastic, super knowledgeable guy, and having them two in my corner was vital. So I've got them, Peter's got his guys, can really get a great bunch of people together. We're supported by BMW with an awesome support of our sponsors that we're just getting all like finalised and stuff now.
Not saying anything though, Joe. You know what I mean? So
that was really subtle, Dominic.
Cheers, mate. You know what I mean? It's only a monster can. I don't know what people are partying about. No, but it's great that you're actually being able to build something nice. That's going to be one of the reels.
Tastes good.
That's refreshing.
It seems pretty empty though. Someone's been smashing all
Yeah, I've been drinking it.
Nice. The corporateness is coming out.
BMW
are going to be your partners with this.
Absolutely. We're still a BMW factory supported team, and with all support from there, from the UK, from Germany. We've over the last year created a fantastic relationship with BMW directly. And with this opportunity, of course, did not want to do it without BMW support, and we have all their support, which is fantastic to have them on board, to be on the new 25 BMWs, to be working closely with the other BMW teams as well. So with the data and knowledge from the World Superbike winning team from last year, we're going to gain all the knowledge and data from them, and the parts and stuff that they were using that they felt was better, and the little updates and everything. We got all of that, so I guess we got no excuses. Still, the main difference for us is still the Motec. The electronics is the difference between the World Superbike stuff. There's a few other differences, but it's not massive. But that's the biggest difference, and BMW want to help with that as well. They're getting super involved with it, and desperate to be back on that top step at the TT. So mega excited. We're obviously going to be at the Northwest and TT, in for Macau again, and British Superbikes, both of us on Superbikes at BSB. So
that was going to be my next question, was do you finally get your getting your wish of Superbike on the right bike?
I don't think I'll be classed as a rookie, which is a shame because I've done like two rounds or 4 rounds.
Yeah, you're
two at the start,
man,
two at the start of 23 and 2 at the end of 23. But first full proper year, good people around us. I'm just mega excited for this. It's something new and completely different. It's not normal for many guys. People have done it before, like Haslam as such was running his own team last year, and many other people have done it and sort of ran their own team that are not privateers, you know what I mean, that have ran a supported team. But
I guess you have to put a percentage of this responsibility that you're about to undertake. You've put the right people around you, haven't you? People like Stu, fucking hell, that bloke's been in the game a long time time at Taz, worked with Guy, worked with William. Like he knows his apples, doesn't he? That lad. Onions, or is it onions you're supposed to know? Whatever it is, he knows them. He knows them, you know. And
he'd have the answer.
And Pete's been running his own team for how many years now?
Jesus.
Yeah. He's done it. He's done it for a while.
You've got the right people around you and to be able to lean on and sort of say, what are we doing here, boys? You know.
As on top of that, the previous team manager at FHO, Darren, who was the team manager at Smith's Racing before that, and been in the game long before that, is going to be the team manager. So more experienced people. The whole team of guys knows what they're doing. We've got our same guys that already gel and work well together. So we've just got, I guess, the perfect package. It's putting it all together. We're doing it from a different standpoint. I know Pete's sort of done it before with his own team, but never on this level before. He does a couple of races running his own outfit, and then his PHR thing in sport bike in BSB on the Triumphs.
He's a busy lad.
His boys sort of run that for him. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't do anything, but the PHR guys are running that. Like, Pete's focused on what he's doing, which we're going to be anyway, because the team's going to be ran by the guys, because everybody that we have involved, Stuart doesn't need telling, you need to get that bike ready after the session, you know, like he doesn't need the team owner coming in and saying, oh, you need to do that. All these guys know what they've been in the game a lot of years, and they know exactly what they need to do. They don't need instructing on what to do and how to do it, and you know, they know what they're doing. So we're already in a great position where
BMW must be laughing because they've got the 2 golden gooses, haven't they? Really, from last year, you know, from the TT last year, certainly they've.
I think it was something big from them that they wanted us together, and it was a part of my decision moving away from Taz originally to be teammates with Peter, as that it was something BMW wanted, that they wanted us to be side by side, that they could have, you know, the full package as one team instead of the support split 2 ways. Having it all in one team, all the support from BMW in one team with me and Pete was the goal, and we just got to do them proud and prove them right, prove they've done the right thing, and do the job.
Fair play to you.
Will this provide more freedom for you or restrict it, in your thoughts? I mean, as far as doing, because obviously TAS, you know, it was a bit like, I can imagine he's speaking to Philip going, can we go do the Southern? You know, obviously there's other commitments, you know, at that point with Rory and British.
Oh, that was a fight.
No, but
that was a fight.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's not, you know, boo him or her. It's just, that's the game, isn't it? Oh, can we go do this? Can the budget stretch to this?
Mm-hmm.
So will that allow you, being part of the team, like one of the team owners, will that give you more freedom or take it away?
In essence, I guess it should give more freedom. Of course, it's a team decision. Everything's going to be a team decision.
Yeah.
It's not going to be even me and Pete just going, that's how we're doing it, that's it. Like, anything that we've discussed already, we get everyone together and say, right, what does everybody think? What's the best way for everyone? And that's how we think it should be a good way to run a team here, instead of standing there and dictating and saying, this is the way it's going. And half the people might think that's a terrible way, and they don't want to do it like that. And it makes them unhappy. If they're unhappy, they don't do a good job. Not just a happy rider makes a fast rider, a happy team and a good atmosphere in everybody makes the rider faster as well. You know, if everybody's enjoying themselves and having a good time, doing a good job while they're doing it, like, you going out riding well, it works for me. I need people around me that I get on with, that would be mates. You know, like, even if I'm have the best mechanics in the world, but they're just
shit crap.
There's no fun or enjoyment there.
They don't get your sense of humour. Yeah.
I race motorbikes because I love it, and like, because I'm desperate to win. But if I didn't enjoy racing motorbikes, I wouldn't do it anymore. Like, I'd got to do something I enjoy. Like, it's the reason I want to do it, because I love the racing. So if I stop loving the racing, then what's the point? So you need the right people around, and all the people have to gel together is a super important part. Not just I got on with him and I get on with him. Everybody has to work together, from the team manager to the team chef and the truck driver and the mechanics, and everybody has to get on and like gel in the right way, understand each other. And if everybody has a good relationship, creates great team morale and gets everything in a good place, and then hopefully you provide good results. You know, it's all got everybody's got that part to play, you know.
I'm generally looking forward to seeing it, but I tell you what, I must ask some technical questions on that side of things. Well, there's bloody loads in my mind. So, because last year you ran Metzler's, and Hickman for years is known to run Dunlops. Is it going to have to be in the pot as far as one tyre brand, or are you going to divvy up, or... love this.
It's still in discussion at the minute.
Right.
Obviously, because of what you said, Hickey's ran Dunlops. Yeah. I ran Dunlops previously, and then last year I was on Metzler's. I would be pretty keen to stay on Metzler's, to be completely straight. Hopefully it works out that way.
See, what's exciting about this is obviously...
And necessarily we shouldn't have to stay on the same tyres.
I was just going to say, surely if this is the team that's built by the two of you, you can both have your own separate agreements, because that's the beauty of owning your own team, is you can say, Pete, you've got a good relationship with Dunlop, I've got a good relationship with Metzler, let's speak to the boys.
Because the Dunlop and Metzler shouldn't say, or they don't seem to have said yet, that, no, if we're going to do a deal... Metzler said, if we're going to do a deal, it has to be both of you, or neither of you is getting a deal. They just go, okay, we'll do a deal with you, Davey, and Pete can do what he wants.
Yes.
Class.
You could end up coming out of this
because both brands, Dunlop and Metzler, probably see it as like, they probably don't want to take the risk of go all or nothing. Yeah. Because if Metzler said that and then we have to go, then we can't, and Hickey won't, then we have to go Dunlop. So then instead of having one of us, they got none.
Yeah.
There's no reason why not. There's no reason why we don't run what we used to. You know, we want a similar package to last year, because we were both happy with our package last year.
Yeah.
We're both really happy with the team and the bike and the parts that we were using and everything. So why change that?
Yeah.
You know, why change it up? I was happy with the Metzlers, so I'll stick on him. If he's happy with the Dunlops, then I'm stick on him. Like, and we're in that fantastic position now that we get to make the call, because as much as I'm grateful for it now, I didn't get to make the call on tyres last year. Right. You know, it wasn't my decision. Taz had to deal with Metzler, and I was running Metzlers whether I wanted to or not. You know, I'm pretty grateful that I'm on him. That was on him, and I loved him, to be honest. I got him fantastically well with him from the beginning. And I'm happy with them. That's why I want to stay on them.
Yeah.
So now I can do my own personal thing with them instead of it. Well, I would say instead of it being a team decision, but I guess it's a team decision and my decision in one.
Yeah.
Together now, isn't it?
So Padgetts back with the Super Twin as well. So home from home.
Yeah, really exciting. Back on Padgetts. Back on that 600. I've got a little bit of unfinished business with that.
You want to do it on a 600?
600 still won TT last year. Yeah. Michael still won that, and I still think
on the R6.
there's probably still something there in the 600, you know, which I'm excited about. And that together with a package of, it's my old team. I have a fantastic relationship with them, as I always have. So I'm like putting on an old set of slippers. I know the bike handles like a dream. I know my settings. I know everything that I'm going back to. Like there's no room there for risk. I'm not going, I'll take a punt on that, and it could be great, but it could be terrible. I know what I'm getting. Clive's told me there's a bit more that he's got out the bike and found a little bit more, as he's always working on, and works his magic and found a little bit more out of that. And again, that combined with a lightweight package of, he's gone out there and said, Ed, you considered riding a twin? I said, to be honest, after last year, I was debating whether I wanted to race a lightweight or not. Only if I was on a competitive bike. Not disrespecting the guys I was on last year, but it wasn't competitive for race wins or podiums. I'd only go back if I know I'm on a package to challenge for the win, because that's where I feel like I'm at right now. And he said, well, I was thinking about buying a pattern for you then. I was like,
Clive said that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you'd do right to snap his hand off if he said he was going to buy a pattern.
So that's what we're doing. So we'll be riding a
that big one. It'll be coming out.
So we'll be riding a pattern and the CBR 600 in the Supersport class. So I feel like I've got two great bikes that can go. That I know I can go the Northwest TT and
crack on
and be competitive on. So
I know this isn't Hickman's interview, but what's he riding?
And the other bikes.
Yeah.
I think he's
got the
Triumph.
R7.
Triumph's the same thing.
On the Triumph.
Do the Triumph thing.
Oh, there we go.
So like, I don't know the details. I might be wrong, but I believe even the factory supported Triumph bikes come out of Peter's workshop, like the world's super sport Triumphs. They get built by PHR. So PHR actually prepare any race. If you want a race ready Triumph, comes from PHR. Yeah. He has the deal to do that, for whether that's a sport bike or a super sport bike.
They make all the conversion kits, don't they, as well, to go from a straight triple to a super sport bike?
I would imagine. I'm not sure what the difference is as such with Jamie's deal. Because I think his bike come from Hickey anyway.
Yeah.
So I think this next one's going to come from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's something you got to ask him.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I believe Peter's situation hasn't changed. He's still running his same thing. Don't know if it's with the same sponsor or what, but I believe he's still running the Triumph. I know he's still running the lightweight with a Swan. Yeah. The Swan.
They just announced
R7.
Yeah. Bring back cigarettes
in the lightweight.
Bring back cigarettes, 100%.
Can't advertise them. It's what is it? What they do? Filters or skins
or something like that. Something to do with cigarettes.
Yeah.
Something to do with that.
Good old boy sponsors.
I love it. Right, let's jump in with the Patreon questions. And as we always say, thank you so much to the patrons, because this show just would not happen without them. And naturally, we always go through the conversation, but don't you worry, you'll be getting 26 questions for you.
Ooh.
Someone likes you. Jesus wept, you know what I mean?
It's getting interrogated here.
Yeah, you are. Go on.
I'm laughing at the first one. Andy Ryder at Macau last year with the poor weather conditions. Is there anything to kill the time in Macau?
He's thinking.
You know what? I think pretty much with a full team, we ended up getting incredibly wrinkly. You know, when you're in water for too long and you start
decomposing.
Even because the weather was so bad, it's even rubbish. You can't even sit by the pool. But there's in the hotel that we're in, there's a ginormous hot tub basically that's red hot. It actually hurts a bit to get in it. I don't even like hot water, and we sat in there a lot of the time.
That was it, just chilling out.
What do you do?
Yeah.
There's casinos. I ain't got the money for that. It's expensive casinos. If you're in Vegas, you can gamble for a dollar or $1 bets and stuff like that. In Macau, geez, you can't bet nothing for less than 100 quid. It's
Really?
like,
Oh, it's serious.
big rollers, and that it for me.
Love it. But it is a good question from Phil Wright. Now that you've stepped up to be the 4th alien at the TT, so obviously it's naturally going through, who do you see as the next up-and-coming rival / alien? Ooh, well, that's a brilliant... Phil, that is an awesome question. Who's number 5?
So actually, the person I'd actually say, I can't say because it hasn't been released that...
A newcomer?
Yeah.
Right.
That he's coming yet, but it's...
Right.
The person that I see, if there's a potential in someone being...
The next
thing, like as a newcomer, like
I'll leave it there.
He's a good mate of mine and incredibly fast. And
you think he'll just gel with what?
Is he? Little hint. Is he local? Is he English?
Not.
Oh, it's awesome.
Not local. Very much so, not local.
Not local. Very much so. Don't say no.
I don't want to go too much because it's not.
Don't say anything more. Don't say it. No, that's exciting in itself.
I want to take away his news, but it's really cool, and
fantastic.
I'm proper excited to see his journey and progression, and he's got fantastic team as a newcomer, like a proper team.
Class.
Proper newcomer, proper team, like just everything there to be like this could be good.
Fantastic. That is.
You'll all know when it comes out.
No, but don't say anything more. Don't say any more. You've definitely planted the seed on that side of things. Definitely.
Ooh. I'm going to ask you one that Martin Cooper's asked because we talked about it before we recorded, which just wondered why they're changing helmets again. Is it purely sponsorship? Also, as a local lad coming from Saltburn, good luck for the season. But we was talking about the safety side of stuff with
Cheddar.
Saltburn lad, he could have come round. Really. Sat in Saltburn, aren't we? Sat in Saltburn here.
Which is a beautiful part of the world, by the way. But yeah, there you go. OnlyFans socks. Look at that.
Shut up, man.
Well, lad.
He's selling them, by the way.
To you.
I got a thought. Fuck you, got a thought. Bet. Never mind me. Jesus, wet.
Just explain all that about them KYT helmets and like you were saying about the FIM spec and the testing they have to go through to get certified for FIM and it's for huge. Actually the other brands that we won't mention, but the 2 other big brands are actually going to have to make some big changes to catch up with where KYT are.
So I would love to be able, like, this is a perfect sort of platform, and I hope everybody who had any doubts about my helmet change listens to this, because this is super important. I wish everybody could like hear this and listen to this and actually know the facts before they speak, or do a bit of research into it before you write your comments on Facebook, like we were talking about earlier, to be fair. But the change to KYT helmets is super exciting. Super, I guess, I was going to say super well-known brand, but I had a lot of people go, who's that? And I'm like, do you not know Pecco Bagnaia in a Suomi? Do you not know Bastianini's in a KYT? Sam and Alex Lowe's are in both of them. Hickey's in a Suomi. Like, you know, there's Bulega in World Superbikes in a KYT. Like, lots of top guys around the world are in these helmets, and I've had the pleasure to go and meet a lot of the guys involved in this company, and they're some really cool guys. So the main guy who designed and developed the KYT and Suomi helmets was the guy who designed and designed the whole AGV helmet for a lot of years, all around Rossi, and seen some really cool photos where he's like modelling the AGV for Rossi. And if anybody's like eagle-eyed, they'll notice that the AGV hasn't changed in a lot of years. Why is that? Because the guy who designed and developed that then went to KYT. So then when he left AGV, the helmet hasn't changed since, and the KYT in Suomi has been rapidly developed over the last 10 years, maybe. The FIM spec regulation, for anybody who's concerned about the safety, is the strictest safety regulation around at the moment for any helmet. So the strictest one, the hardest one to get a pass for, is the FIM spec, and there's only 11 helmets in the world that have an FIM rating. So like, if you don't have one of those 11 helmets, you're not allowed to do the TT, you're not allowed to do MotoGP, World Superbike.
Just about to say that, yeah, because even the TT have stepped up to that standard. And like, so for regular races, you know what I mean, you can get an ACU, which is a British standard stamp. Now the blunt side of this is you can go buy the stamps and put them on your lid.
Yeah,
that's the truth, you know what I mean. Painters can get them, you know what I mean, bang off. But when you look at
the scrutineers do also have a database of the helmets. Yeah. So even when they put a sticker on, if sorry, am I doing a Josh?
Yeah.
But if the scrutineer did think, I don't think I've seen
I'm not sure what that helmet is.
Yeah, they have a database they can go to, don't they?
I'm not saying that side of things, but there's people.
You can also spend 80 quid on a helmet.
Yeah,
that's ACU accredited, and you think, fucking hell. Yeah, get a builder's bucket from Travis Perkins that you'd probably trust more, wouldn't you? You know.
But like an FIM, it's actually in the double D ring strap.
Yeah.
So
it's not a sticker.
It's a hologram. It's a hologram. It's got a QR code on it. Yeah. The actual regulation is.
It's the strictest, the top of the top, like everything. And as I say, 11, it's 11 or 12. You can have a look if anybody's that interested, but you can search it online and see that 11, 12 helmets in the world. Like RI have one helmet, Shoei have one helmet, LS2 have one, Alpine Star have one. Yeah. Like everybody has one. Technically, KYT and Suomi are two different ones. So KYT is one, Suomi is one.
Well, funny you should mention that, but I've just signed a deal with Nolan Helmets, and they're one of the parts that's list. You know what I mean? They're coming to the TT in a big way, and they've just shipped me over like a load of these lids, wet and dry spec and everything, and you just look through and you think, fucking hell, it's just unbelievable spec stuff. Unbelievable spec.
The guys actually told me before the news got released, and he was the basically said be prepared for the backlash. For some reason, it's just for no reason whatsoever. It's a stereotype or I don't know what the word you'd call it, but it's like a stereotypical thing that in the UK, and only in the UK, they said it's not the case in the entire rest of the world, but only in the UK, people go, I can only use a Shoei or RI, don't use anything else, so shit. And they're like, they're like, our helmet's tested as good as anything else. They said, we can't understand why people in the UK say only Shoei or RI. But they said it's just a stereotypical thing that people have said for years, and it's for some reason not gone away when it should have gone away 15 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
Along with some of the older spec helmets that maybe weren't as good. That's gone. The days of that stuff are gone. There's like plenty of very, very good helmets, and there's only 12 incredibly top of the top spec helmets, and that's it. Like, so if you have one of them, then you have the safest possible thing on your head.
And the blunt side of it is the Nolan and the KYT is in the same similar price bracket, and it's 200-300 quid cheaper. You know, if you want to go racing, and you want to go and do these events, and you want the top of a line, 300 quid, and the second you bump your head, doesn't matter what brand you're wearing, it's in the bin. You know what I mean? It can rack up if you want to go fast.
And they look cool, eh?
They look
cool.
Like,
so, like...
I personally think the Nolan looks better. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll go briefly into the aerodynamics then, because you forced me to, but... so they did... KYT have done an absolute shit ton of testing and wind tunnel testing, and not only making one of the most aerodynamic helmets in a straight line when you're tucked in. So everybody tests, all the brands test them like that in a wind tunnel to make it and some of the old school brands, not naming names, but what everybody thinks is the best, are not very aerodynamic. And understand safety is the priority, but we've discussed safety is up to spec with all of these 11 or 12 helmets. Then, so the aerodynamics gets tested in a wind tunnel in a straight line. KYT have gone to a point that they've wind tunnel tested not only at the helmet in a straight line when it's super aerodynamic in that way. If you look at some of the helmets, they're quite long now and have like extended bits on the back, so they're really long, super aerodynamic. What happens when you go around a corner on a bike? What do you do?
Do that.
You go like that. Oh, what, the wind's hitting you from the side. So you have a super long helmet and it's hitting you from the side. Like, it's actually then incredibly unaerodynamic.
Yeah.
And you end up with a really sore neck around the TT is what you end up with. So then they've actually made a super aero helmet from the side as well. So it's one of the most aerodynamic from the front and the side. You know, so it's a combined effort that they've thought of all these things, all these new safety ratings, thick EPS liner, thinner foam, and I'm stoked. Anyway, I've worn them a few times now, and I'm loving it.
Mega, love it. I tell you what, I'm generally looking at the time and thinking about poor Grace here on that side of things. God love you. But I tell you what, have you got any more questions on from the patrons? Like I say, there's 26, and I'm actually going to start reading out all the names here. But Andy Ryder, Paul Watty,
just get through them. I can give you a shorter answer if you want. I'll just give you 10-word answers to all.
If you could watch the onboard video of yourself filmed from your helmet, do you ever think, holy crap, this is mad?
Yes.
Next question. I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely mental. I've done a couple of...
Hang on, you were giving us a short word answer.
Really quickly. I've done a couple of chat shows recently where I do a talk over that onboard lap of the camera in my helmet, and even when I watch it, I'm like, I think it's nuts.
Class.
But it looks perfectly like it does in real life.
And obviously he says congratulations on the wins as well, so there we go. Fantastic. Go on then.
Ken O'Shea, reckon you guys or even Davey might try one of the Southern Irish road races this year? Yes or no?
I'd love to, but I can't see
He's pretty shit at this one-word answer stuff, isn't he?
Probably not going to happen this year.
I can't see it. I would love to go back, but I just...
Never say never. Never say never.
Rapid fire. CJ Pepe, are you still playing the TT video game? Do you think it can continue to help with your preparations, or at a certain point does it detract value given to your actual seat time around the circuit?
It doesn't. It never detracts. It always helps. You know, doing laps, because I can do laps on the game at over 140 mile an hour laps, so my brain's capable of processing it at the faster speed.
Yeah.
So if you can do, I think it's more closer to 150 mile an hour laps on the game. Obviously, then you're taking risks that you wouldn't take in real life. But the problem, and you'll back this up, like riding around the TT is the hardest bit of it is mentally, not physically. Like mentally, your brain processing all that for 6 laps is mentally exhausting, the most exhausting thing in the world. So actually getting to be able to process that, if you can process that at 150 mile an hour, then when you do 137s this year, then that seems a bit, it seems slower. So why wouldn't it help?
Like it. Michael Harrison, what are your targets for the BSB season? Top 10s, top 5s, wins.
A win.
I want to win.
Nice.
I just want to win. If you finish second, you're going to be upset that you didn't win. So
I like it. Mark Bates, which is more important, a senior TT win or a BSB win?
Senior. You didn't even have to say the other thing. Senior.
Aaron Hans, going off TT lap times and lap speeds the last few years, do you think it's at the limit for tyres and bikes?
No.
Nice, I like this. He's getting the hang of this, yes and no. No, keep going.
You've got to keep the mullet or the tash. Which one? This is Jake Knox asked this one. Sorry, Jake, I nearly forgot. I nearly didn't mention your name then, mate. Sorry. Mullet or tash?
Well, I was on about getting rid of the mullet earlier because too many people are getting one.
So you're going to get rid of the mullet and keep the tash?
don't know.
Can't answer that one, can I?
Tony Rolls, do you think the new BMW will have the grip, whatever it seemed to lack last year in BSB? And was it an easy decision to go back to Padgetts? So I think there's a yes for Padgetts straight away.
Easy decision to go back there for sure.
Do you think the new BMW will be up for
the grip? There's a new tyre coming in BSB.
There isn't.
A new Zero. So there's only rear tyre allowed in British Superbikes. In the Superbike class is a SE0. I believe there's a new updated SE0 coming next year. This year. Next year. Doing you now.
I know you are. Yeah,
this year. That is meant to be grippier. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it myself, but I didn't suffer with rear grip, and I was running harder tyres than Zeros anyway. I've been tested a couple of Metzeler K Zeros in New Zealand. Liked them.
I was about to say, Ty, your mate Joe, is do you find going over to New Zealand and riding all winter was beneficial, and is it cost effective to do that?
Yes. It is beneficial for sure. I just never want to stop. I think a lot of riders need to stop because they get burnt out by the end of the season. I don't know how you could possibly get burnt out riding motorbikes. I don't know about you. Like, I never want to stop. I'd ride every single day if I could. And I try to at the moment. Try ride motocross, supermoto, everything. So I love New Zealand, going out there, have a great time. There's not the pressure there of the pressure I have at BSB and TT that I need to win. I can just have a bit of fun, race my motorbikes against some fast guys out there. Like, they're underrated. A lot of them guys out there are really underrated. Mitch Reese, Tony Reese's dad, is 57 years old.
He's a weapon.
Absolute machine. Beat me a couple of times.
I watched the results. He's a weapon, that man.
57 years old. Absolute machine.
Is it one of them where he takes his helmet off and you go, what?
Yeah, well, I knew him already from last year when he just absolutely savage.
Class.
And I managed, I don't know, he actually beat me in the championship, actually. Yeah, Class. He ended up second, I think, so nightmare. But it is definitely beneficial to, I believe, race out there. Cost effective.
If you can afford it, you can do it. You know what I mean?
But you ain't got kids.
Yeah. It's not bad. While you're out there, it's not expensive. The organisers very kindly look after us and support us, and there's some fantastic sponsors that help get us out there. BMW New Zealand hooked me up with a car while I was out there. The organisers get your flights, and the freight company sorted out getting the bike shipped out there. Went straight from Macau, so like,
class.
It
all works.
Didn't cost me a lot of money, and then it's a pretty cheap place when you're out there. It's not more expensive than the UK. So
sweet, absolutely sweet. Well, I tell you what, honestly, there's 26, but thank you so much to everyone who's put a Patreon question in there. But it's been. Have you got any more questions, Joe, from your side?
No, not from me. I was going to ask you one that Alex Chapman asked, because he asked two questions, but he said, if you could change one part of the TT section, what would it be? And please don't go with the cliche answer of, I wouldn't change anything because it's
literally, mate, I tell you what, if you looked up at the right time, he was ready for the
saw him shaking his head, and I'm glad.
The Nook.
The Nook.
That was
the first
wank.
One. Yeah. So, yeah, the Nook and Governor's Dip, really. It's just, doesn't really fit with the rest of the course. But
imagine Bray Hill if they knocked that off. Imagine it. Now, bearing in mind on soccer, you can hold it stretched.
But instead of going into that old section, you just go down the new road to the roundabout, and then.
But if you imagine, you could hook that second gear and just wow, you'd be third. Well, bearing in mind that's a good 200 yards. Yeah. You'd be second, hooking third. You're going through the speed trap at 160, 170 mile an hour on a stocker, past the start line. Then it goes downhill. Then you take, imagine the jump. Imagine the tabletop. You'd be landing near the curb, man.
You'd be like the limiter going over St. Inian's, probably, if you got a bit more of a run out there. But
the TT lot will never listen to me. But if they're going to listen at any point, listen to Davey Todd.
They can't change any.
No, they can't,
because it needs to be the lap time. But have you seen the lap time before the Nook. So the sector, Cronknamona to the finish is like the shortest sector. It's only like 50 seconds or something.
Yes.
Have you seen the speed of the lap time? Do you know it's like 136 mile an hour, the lap record? Yeah. So if you took the lap speed from start line to Cronknamona, it's like 140.
Shut up, man.
Something mile an hour average speed.
I'm gonna
it's way quicker because obviously you go around that last bit like
first gear,
15 mile an hour, if that. You can't even get around that hairpin, can you?
Nah, it's like, you know, we've all been there, but I'll tell you what, we're going to ring Kev Pinder after this, who's like a part of the show infrastructure. He'll know exactly the figures.
If you look on the TT timing app, you can set it to the sector of Cronknamona, and it gives you the grandstand to Cronknamona, and it's like,
just take that.
You're like, whoa, because sometimes I've clicked on it by accident, and I thought that was the during practice week, and I thought that was the lap, and I was like, fucking hell, who's done 139 mile an hour? And then it's like, no, it's to Cronknamona.
I tell you what, can they not? Come on, you're friends with them all. Can we not just shut the road off that little bit and just go, right, Davey, we'll give you a rolling start from the Craig, get your tyres nice and piping, right? And then that last section and just see how fucking quick he can actually and just hooks him.
Yeah.
I feel like we should put a vote out there. No, I'm in. What about you?
I'm in.
That's 2 against.
I told you, I don't like the Nadgery shot.
But he's in. Let's make it happen.
Yep. Easy.
Love it. Honestly, thank you so much for your time, and I'm so sorry to everyone who's listening to this thing. We want more, but unfortunately we're gonna have to wait for like another 100 episodes so we can win some more TDs between there and then and everything. But thank you so much for letting us clog up the drive and destroy Saltburn's traffic arrangements for the last few hours, and poor Grace is going to listen to all this again, so thank you very much yet again, Grace. You're amazing as always. But obviously these shows do not happen without OMG Racing, JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, and of course Lucky Day competitions. Please buy a ticket, change your life, and you got more of a considerable bigger chance than winning the lottery.
What can you win?
Anything, mate. Everything.
Check it out. Anything.
I have to have a look.
Get on it.
I love them raffle competitions.
Oh, it's all about it. And obviously the thing is, it's about putting back into the sport that support bike racing, and Lucky Day is a part of that. So why spend your money anywhere else? Simple as that. And obviously Encase, go please check them out. They do pervy foam inserts. Take that what you will and roll with it. Yeah, we've lost another sponsor. Oh, class. But obviously, gentlemen, thank you so much. And lady,
thank you.
Catch you next time.
Thanks for having us.